Chapter 81. When Mo Xingtian heard this, he felt very upset. To be honest, from the beginning when he was forced to become Jiang Chen's servant, he had always wanted to resist and find a chance to break the master-servant contract. However, when he was captured and saw Jiang Chen attacking alone, Mo Xingtian seemed to have suddenly understood something. Servant? No. They were friends. They were brothers. They were together. All of you die. At this moment, Jiang Chen's eyes were bloodshot and his body was covered in blood. After continuously using the forbidden technique, cracks had already appeared on his body. Even his soul had dimmed a lot. The blood essence in his body was burning. From 36 drops, only 18 drops were left. If not for his strong will, Jiang Chen would have fainted already. Damn it, there are so many of us, and he actually destroyed the entire Star Sword sect. Damn it, I'm going to tear you into pieces. In Star Sword sect, a group of people who were still alive roared angrily into the sky. At the same time, arrows flew over from afar again. When Jiang Chen saw this, he raised his palm with difficulty. Under the burning of his blood essence, his true qi gathered in front of him and turned into a talisman. The talisman wanted to rise into the sky and attract the heavenly tribulation, but it was pierced by the sky, full of sharp swords, and turned into nothingness. Huh, looks like I still can't bring you out of here. Jiang Chen smiled bitterly. Looking at the sky full of arrows, he finally felt a trace of death. If nothing unexpected happened, Jiang Chen believed that he would probably die here today. Buzz! However, all of a sudden, the air started to vibrate, and an extremely cold aura filled the air. In the air, a mist appeared out of thin air, and then froze, freezing the sky full of arrows in the air. After a few breaths, a beautiful figure descended from the sky and rushed to Jiang Chen's side to support him. You're here? When Jiang Chen saw this person, he could not help but smile. However, his face was full of blood, and his smile looked a little miserable. Seeing this, Bai Fingyu's nose turned sour, and her eyes turned red. She could not help but ask, "Why did you come alone?" "Because I'm not sure," Jiang Chen said softly. "Why are you here if you're not confident? Aren't you afraid of death?" Bai Fengyu said solemnly. "I'm afraid of death." Jiang Chen chuckled. "But I'm more afraid of the people around me dying. Who dares to kill you? That's who I will destroy. So what if it's the Star Sword sect? Today, I'll flatten your Star Sword sect." At this moment, a group of people flew over from afar. The people in the lead were the two heads of the Elixir Pavilion and the Array Pavilion. Behind them was a large group of Dao Realm reverends and vassals, all of them exuding extremely powerful auras. What's going on? The Star Sword sect has already been destroyed. The entire address of the Star Sword sect has turned into ruins. Who did it? At this moment, everyone was shocked. Looking at the Star Sword sect that had already turned into ruins, looking at the corpses and blood all over the ground, everyone was unable to remain calm. Don't care so much. Today, the Star Sword sect will be destroyed. Destroy! The two heads of the Elixir Pavilion and Array Pavilion spoke. Looking at how severely injured Jiang Chen was and how he was on the verge of death, their eyes had long turned red with anger. Under their orders, a group of Dao Realm cultivators charged out like tigers and wolves. They did not care who the other party was and only knew to obey orders. Bang! Bang! Following that, under the attacks of this group of Dao Realm cultivators, the last few people of Star Sword sect fell to the ground one after another. After half an incense stick of time, there were still a few elders left who were still hanging on bitterly. However, by the looks of it, they were only a step away from death. Jiang Chen, you destroyed our Star Sword sect and slaughtered so many people. Aren't you afraid of retribution? You devils! At this moment, the few elders of Star Sword sect roared furiously. The resentment in their eyes burned like raging flames. When Jiang Chen heard that, he chuckled and said, "If the one who died today was me, you guys wouldn't say such things. The strong preys on the weak. There's no good or evil at all. If you're afraid of retribution, Why did you step onto the path of cultivation in the first place? Jiang Qin narrowed his eyes. Cultivation is about defying fate and fighting for the great Tao to begin with. The so-called retribution is merely an excuse for the weak to find for themselves. You'll die a horrible death. An elder of Star Sword sect cursed. However, the moment he said that, his head was shattered by a palm strike. Stop it. Right then, a soft voice sounded from afar. The voice was vast and mighty like a bell, causing the blood of everyone present to rumble. There were even a few people who fell from the sky because of that soft voice. Who is it so strong? He surpassed the Tao realm. What level of cultivator is he? At this moment, everyone was shocked and incomparably terrified. After all, cultivators who surpassed the Tao realm had never appeared in the area of Qingyun town. In fact, these people did not even know how strong cultivators who surpassed the Tao realm were. However, when they saw how the other party's words caused their blood to rumble and they vomited blood repeatedly, everyone knew that this person was extremely strong. Jiang Chen narrowed his eyes and looked into the distance. Under the afterglow of the setting sun, an old man was walking in the air. He had white hair and a youthful face. There was a kind smile on his face, but when his eyes opened and closed, there was an unconcealable, domineering intent. Martial Master. Jiang Chen narrowed his eyes. He did not expect that Star Sword sect would really invite a cultivator who surpassed the Tao realm. Martial Master. Above the Tao realm, the path of cultivation was forked. Some people continued to cultivate martial arts. After the Tao realm, they were martial masters. Some people cultivated the sword. After the Tao realm, they were sword masters. There were also people who condensed their spirit and used various Tao techniques. After these people surpassed the Tao realm, they were known as arcane masters. The Tao realm was a new starting point. The world beyond the Tao realm was colorful and gorgeous. Various professions appeared. All kinds of geniuses and monsters competed. As long as one had the strength, they could continue watching. It's time for you to die. After a few breaths, the old man arrived and stood in the air. The kind smile on his face disappeared. He glanced at the ruins of Star Sword sect and Jiang Chun, who was covered in blood. Then, he stretched out a finger and a terrifying spiritual energy condensed. His finger was snow-white and covered in a layer of frost. He pointed at Jiang Chun. This time, there's really no other way. What else can I do when facing a martial master? Jiang Chun smiled bitterly. He was already weak and seriously injured. Now that he was facing a martial master, he did not even want to resist. Since he was going to die, what was there to be afraid of? He could just accept it peacefully. If you dare to kill him, I'll exterminate your entire clan. Bai Fengyu narrowed his eyes, and a silver token appeared in his hand. On it were the two words, White Emperor. White Emperor City, who are you? The old man stopped and stared at Bai Fengyu. He asked, what's the relationship between you and White Emperor? My father is White Emperor. Bai Fengyu raised his eyebrows. And the person you want to kill is my master, the Chuanzuan sect's leader, Jiang Chun. Oh, is that so? The old man frowned and suddenly felt troubled. After all, White Emperor City was not to be trifled with. Even if he was a martial master and had surpassed the Tao realm, he was still an ant in front of the huge White Emperor City. Moreover, Star Sword sect was already destroyed. There was no need for him to continue helping Star Sword sect. Chapter 82. Sir, since you're the master of Emperor Bai's daughter, I'll do her a favor today. After which, he cast a glance at the Star Sword sect and let out a long sigh. A dignified sect, with a single misstep, was destroyed. This is how the world works. The strong prey on the weak, Jiang Qin said. If I die today, Star Sword sect will be destroyed too. With Emperor Bai's support, no one in solitary North Mountain can go against you, the elder said with a smile. Then, the elder did not leave. Instead, he introduced himself. It turned out that the elder came from solitary North City. He was an elder of solitary North City's Martial Pavilion. His name was Duga Lucheng. He was entrusted by someone to help Star Sword's sect, but he did not expect to encounter such a situation. However, if he had come earlier, with his status and strength, he could have ended this matter, and Star Sword's sect would not have been destroyed. I heard that Qingyan Town's Martial Pavilion Master, Wu Mu, has a good relationship with you. Is that true? Suddenly, Duga Luqing stared at Jiang Chun and said, Martial Pavilion is now one of the strongest forces in Godless Continent. It controls all the major sects in the world. Martial Pavilion is like a law that maintains the order between the major sects in the world. As for the people of the Martial Pavilion, under normal circumstances, they wouldn't have the slightest connection or relationship with others. Jiang Chen nodded. If he had not forced Wu Mu to sign a contract, there would not be such a relationship between him and Wu Mu. Martial Pavilion never interfered in the fights between the major sections. They were only responsible for maintaining the peace between the sections. If Martial Pavilion had a special relationship with someone, this peace would be broken and Martial Pavilion could not continue to be impartial. Wu Mu and I are just acquaintances. There's no relationship, Jiang Chen said. As for you saying that I have Emperor Bai's support, I think you've misunderstood. Oh, isn't that so? Duga Luqing frowned. Emperor Bai's daughter is your disciple. How can Emperor Bai's city not support you? I don't need anyone or any sect to support me. Jiang Chun narrowed his eyes. Wherever I am, I will be the greatest backer. After he finished speaking, Jiang Chun turned around, looked at everyone, and said, the Star Sword sect has been annihilated. Next, the Alliance meeting. The crowd was startled after hearing these words. No one would have thought that after Jiang Chen destroyed the Star Sword sect, he actually did not recuperate, but instead wanted to continue attacking another sect. Even Duga Luqing was a little confused. He could not imagine how much trouble Jiang Chen was going to make before he was willing to let this matter go. Since my Martial Pavilion is the guardian of the Godless Continent's order and is in charge of the conflicts and disputes between the various sects, it's impossible for us to let you continue, Duga Luqing said in a deep voice. When Jiang Chun heard this, he sneered and said contemptuously, Are you qualified? As a member of the Martial Pavilion and the Grand Elder of Solitary North City, why wouldn't I be qualified? Duga Luqing said coldly. Today, if it weren't for White Emperor City, you would already be a corpse. Don't push your luck. The Martial Pavilion is not afraid of anyone. You can try. At that moment, before Jiang Chun could speak, a cold radiance exploded from Bai Fengyu's body. The power of the great moon body filled the air, and a layer of frost covered the air. When Dugu Luqing saw this, his eyes narrowed and the aura on his body continued to rise. As a member of the Martial Pavilion, no matter which sect he encountered, he was qualified to fight with them. He also knew that even White Emperor City did not dare to fight with the Martial Pavilion. Previously, when Duga Luqing saw that the Star Sword sect had been annihilated, it was meaningless to be entangled in this matter, so he took a step back. But now, he did not want to take a step back. Just like what he had said, the Martial Pavilion was not afraid of anyone. However, Jiang Chen was the same as him. He was not afraid of anything. If you want to fight, I will accompany you to the end. Jiang Chen's eyes narrowed as he formed a seal with his hands and cast the forbidden skill again. Buzz! Following a loud boom, the crowd saw a ray of Buddha's light shining in the sky. The Buddha's light shone on the earth and everything. It even shrouded Jiang Chun and Duga Luqing. Forbidden skill, all lives equal. Following Jiang Chen's roar, Duga Luqing could clearly feel that Jiang Chen's cultivation was rapidly rising. In just 3 breaths, Jiang Chun had risen from the lower origin realm to a martial master. The aura that Jiang Chen exuded was even more terrifying than an ordinary martial master. I control everything. I am proficient in all kinds of martial arts. What do you have to fight with me? I said that you are not qualified. You are not qualified, Jiang Chen said coldly. Jiang Chen had founded a sect and named it the Chuanzuan sect. What was the meaning of this? That was because Jiang Chen had been proficient in all kinds of methods. Talismans, enchantments, arrays, alchemy, and even various professions. He had walked to the top. He was a top figure. Now, with the power of the forbidden skill, Jiang Qin's cultivation had surpassed the Tao realm. In that case, everything that Jiang Qin had once mastered could be unleashed at this moment. It was like a leaf giving birth to a flower. When a flower bloomed, all other flowers bloomed. When a thought bloomed, there was only one flower in the world. Do you think I am afraid of you? Duge Lucheng was fearless. With a roar, the spiritual power in his body exploded. As a martial master, he had entered the Tao through martial arts. After breaking through to the Tao realm, he had persisted on the path of martial arts. His cultivation was completely related to martial. At that moment, he stepped out in the air. His body shone brightly and divine light rippled. He looked like a deity in the sky. With a single punch, even the air in the area was distorted. The fist light was vast and mighty like a sun. When it hit, it was like the sun was blooming and the light drowned out everything around it. Even the Tao realm cultivators could not help but close their eyes. They could not look directly at Duge Luoqing's punch. Only Jiang Qin focused his eyes and struck out with his palm. The palm print was like a sky curtain that fell from the sky. Boom! With a few explosions, the fist light that was like the sun was shattered. Then, a palm print that was like a black cloud fell. You! When Duge Luoqing saw this, he exclaimed. However, he could only say the word you. After that, he could not speak anymore. This was because Jiang Qin's palm seemed to be able to destroy everything and suppress everything. Under the palm, Duge Luoqing did not even have the chance to resist. He was suppressed to the ground, looking at the deep gully and the palm print that was more than 100 meters in size. The surrounding people's expressions changed. No one could have imagined that an origin realm cultivator could suppress a martial master with the power of a palm. This was simply a miracle. I said that I don't need to rely on anyone, Jiang Qin said in a low voice, including White Emperor's city. You! How dare you attack me? Duge Luoqing lay on the ground. His bones and tendons were shattered by Jiang Qin's palm. He could not get up, but his eyes were cold. Why wouldn't I dare? Jiang Qin said coldly. I am from the martial pavilion. Duge Luoqing shouted angrily. Aren't you afraid of being attacked by the martial pavilion? Martial pavilion? Come at me. Jiang Qin said seriously. Back then, when my Chuanzuan sect dominated the godless continent, your martial pavilion was nothing. From now on, my Chuanzuan sect will return to its former glory. If your martial pavilion dares to stop us, we will destroy you. Chapter 83. At that moment, not to mention Duge Luoqing, even Bai Fengyu and the others were moved. They were incomparably shocked. If Jiang Qin's words were to spread to the martial pavilion, there would be a bloodbath. Of course, with Jiang Qin's current strength and Chuanzuan sect's foundation, the martial pavilion would not care even if they were to spread the news. After all, the martial pavilion side hall in solitary North City would be able to deal with Jiang Qin and Chuanzuan sect. At the same time, what shocked everyone was Jiang Qin's performance. Previously, Jiang Qin had been severely injured and looked like he was on the verge of death. However, no one had expected Jiang Qin to be able to fight again. Moreover, this time, he had suppressed a martial master who had surpassed the Tao realm. Everyone present, including Bai Fengyu, did not have the strength to do so. Jiang Qin was only in the origin realm. There were 2 realms between him and a martial master. Let's go. At that moment, Jiang Qin turned around and looked coldly at Duge Luoqing. Then, he led the group and left the place. Mo Xingtian had been rescued, and he had left with Jiang Qin. Duge Luoqing laid on the ground, and his face was gloomy. His eyes were filled with killing intent. He was the elder of the martial pavilion side hall in solitary North City, and he had a high status. At least in solitary North City, Duge Luoqing was one of the top few. However, today, he had been suppressed by a brat, and the brat was so arrogant. Brat, I will remember you. Even if the White Emperor city is backing you up, I will destroy you. I will destroy Chuanzuan sect. Duga Luching thought to himself. After resting for a while on the ground, he got up with difficulty and left the place. At that moment, after Jiang Chun had walked for 10 miles, his face turned pale. His body swayed, and he could not hold on any longer. He closed his eyes and fell to the ground. He had used forbidden skills consecutively and was severely injured. After that, he had burned his blood essence and used all lives equal to fight with Duga Luching. With injuries on top of injuries, Jiang Chun had broken down completely. "Master! Boss! Master!" At this moment, everyone cried out in alarm. A group of alchemists hurriedly surrounded Jiang Chun. After checking his condition, each and every one of their faces turned ugly. "His injuries are that serious? My blood essence has been exhausted. My physical body is on the verge of collapse, and even my soul light and mental power have been exhausted. This is hopeless." Everyone sighed. Even if they had medicinal pills, they believed that Jiang Chun could not be saved. After all, in their eyes, this kind of injury was incurable. "Impossible. Boss won't die so easily," Jianglu said in a deep voice. "Boss and I, along the way, from being trash in everyone's eyes, we have painstakingly reached this step. What kind of suffering have we not experienced? Boss wants to restore Chuanzun's sex glory. This is just the beginning. How could Boss leave us behind?" However, even so, Jianglu knew that Jiang Chun might really be beyond saving. In just a dozen breaths of time, Jiang Chun's life aura became increasingly weak. Like a candle in the wind, Jiang Chun's life seemed to be on the verge of extinguishing at any time. "There must be a way." Bai Fengyu's eyes reddened. He carried Jiang Chun on his back and said, "I'll bring him to Baidi City. From here to Baidi City. Even if you fly in the air, it will take at least 10 days. By the time you bring him to Baidi City, his corpse will be cold." Mo Xingtian frowned and looked at everyone. "If you believe me, I'll bring him to the devil's sect. Why do you care if you believe me or not? As long as you have a way to save him. So what if we go to the devil's sect? Quick, don't wait. If we can save his life by going to the devil's sect, let's go now." Hearing this, Mo Xingtian did not dare to hesitate. After all, he and Jiang Chun were master and servant. If Jiang Chun died, he would die with him. Of course, the current Mo Xingtian was not afraid of his own death, but he did not want to see Jiang Chun die. Jiang Chun had used his life to save him. Now that he was safe and sound, Jiang Chun was about to die. How could Mo Xingtian not be moved in his heart? Mo Xingtian had long made up his mind. As long as he could save Jiang Chun, he was willing to pay any price. "You bring him to the devil's sect. We'll return to Chuanzun's sect first. Hopefully, we can refine some useful pills. You guys go back too. Chuanzun's sect must be guarded by someone." In the end, Mo Xingtian, Bai Fengyu, and Jiang Chun brought Jiang Chun to the Devil Sect. The others, including the Array Pavilion and Pill Pavilion's consecrators and guests, returned to Chuanzun's sect. On the way, someone was very puzzled and asked, "He's about to die. There's no saving him. Why do we still have to return to Chuanzun's sect?" "That's right. He's just a young boy. Although he looks very special, is he worth our sacrifice?" In the face of these people's doubts, the people from the Pill Pavilion and Array Pavilion shook their heads. They had seen too many miracles from Jiang Chun. In fact, in their hearts, they still believed that Jiang Chun could still create a miracle this time and make it through. Moreover, they were indebted to Jiang Chun. Even if Jiang Chun was really gone, they would still stay in Chuanzun's sect and do their best to protect Chuanzun's sect. Half a day later, Mo Xingtian brought Jiang Chun to a tall mountain more than 100 miles away from Chuanzun's sect. In front of them, the trees were verdant, birds were singing, and the fragrance of flowers was fragrant. The air was also filled with heaven and earth yuan qi. At first glance, this place looked like a paradise on earth. However, no one would have thought that such a beautiful place was actually where the Devil Sect was located. "Grand Elder, why are you back? The sect leader sent us to look for you." The moment Mo Xingtian returned, he attracted the attention of many Devil Sect members. Mo Xingtian, did not say a word. He brought Jiangchen directly to the back of the mountain and brought him to a cave. Grand Elder, this is the Devil Sect's forbidden area. Only the sect leader can enter. Grand Elder, don't be like this. If the sect leader finds out, I'm afraid you'll be. At the entrance of the cave, a few guards had ugly expressions. However, they did not dare to stop Emo Xingtian. I'll bear all the consequences, even if it takes my life. I'm willing to give it, Emo Xingtian said in a low voice. Put him in the blood pool. I'll go look for the sect leader later, but although the blood pool's evil spirit can be reborn, can this person withstand the power of the blood pools? A few guards frowned. Grand Elder, I don't think he's from Devil Sect. Why do you have to do this? I said so. That's it. Emo Xingtian shouted angrily. As soon as he finished speaking, Emo Xingtian placed Jiangchen in a pool that looked like it was made of fresh blood. Then, Emo Xingtian looked deeply at Jiangchen and said, whether you live or die, it all depends on your luck. Emo Xingtian turned around and prepared to leave the cave to look for the Devil Sect's sect leader. After all, he did not have the final say in the Devil Sect. He had to report to the sect leader about bringing an outsider into the Devil Sect's forbidden area. Chapter 84. However, before Emo Xingtian could walk out of the cave, a white-haired man suddenly appeared there. He frowned and stared at Emo Xingtian with a hint of displeasure in his eyes. This person was the sect master of the Devil Sect, Emo Yuan. Speak. What's going on? Emo Yuan said. You're so bold as to bring an outsider into the forbidden area of the Devil Sect. I believe there must be a reason behind this. My life was saved by him, Emo Xingtian said straightforwardly. I'm willing to take all responsibility for this matter, including my life. I only ask that you allow him to cleanse his marrow and bones in the blood pool. Perhaps it can save his life. Who is he? Emo Yuan asked with a glint in his eyes. No one knew what he was thinking about. Chuanzun Sect's sect master, Jiangchen, Emo Xingtian said, and he's my master. Emo Yuan was stunned when he heard this. He did not expect his sect's grand elder to become the servant of a young lad. However, before Emo Yuan could speak, Emo Xingtian spoke first. Spiritual energy swirled around his finger, and he carved a scripture in the air. This is the sunset demon god's inheritance. He gave it to me, Emo Xingtian said. I'm willing to give this inheritance to the sect master in exchange for his life. Why would I need the sunset demon god's inheritance? Emo Yuan curled his lip and gave Emo Xingtian a meaningful look. Then he glanced at Jiangchen, who was still in a coma. Then he left without saying anything. This time, Emo Xingtian was stunned. He thought Emo Yuan would fly into a rage and even kill Jiangchen. Who would have thought that Emo Yuan would just leave after asking a few questions? Sect Master, what are you thinking? Emo Xingtian sighed. No one in the Devil Sect could understand Emo Yuan's thoughts. However, Emo Xingtian was too lazy to think about it. He sat beside the blood pool and stared at Jiangchen. He did not know if Jiangchen's condition had improved, but he knew that if Jiangchen died, he would die with him. Now that he was still alive, it meant that Jiangchen was also alive. As long as he was still alive, it was fine. As long as you can withstand the power of the blood pool, you will be able to live like a phoenix rising from the ashes. Emo Xingtian thought. The blood pool was a forbidden area of the Devil Sect. It was said that it was built by the Devil Sect's patriarch when the Devil Sect was founded. Not only did the water in the blood pool contain all sorts of precious treasures, it even contained a trace of phoenix blood. The phoenix could be reborn from the flames, and its blood could also help people to be reborn. Just like the phoenix, people could be reborn. However, the phoenix blood in the blood pool was different from ordinary phoenix blood. This was the blood of the dark phoenix. Therefore, this blood was even more tyrannical and filled with a demonic nature. If one could not withstand the pressure of this blood, the person soaking in the blood pool would be melted into a pool of blood. Emo Xingtian had no choice but to take such a risk. Otherwise, at this moment, Jiangchen was already powerless to reverse the situation. Wang. Half a day later, a trembling sound suddenly came from the blood pool. Then, Jiang Qin's body emitted rays of black light. The black light was as black as ink, as if it could swallow all light. Upon closer inspection, these black lights were actually wisps of black flames. The flames burned, but did not burn Jiang Qin's body. Moreover, Jiang Qin's life force was recovering rapidly under the influence of these black flames. It was like a wild grass that had been burned by fire and bathed in the spring breeze. At this moment, it was growing vigorously, and its life force was gradually increasing until it surpassed what it was before. You can really withstand it. Mo Xingtian was excited. He knew that Jiang Chun was extraordinary. At this moment, although Jiang Chun was unconscious, he still had some consciousness. In his hazy state, he felt a scorching aura rush into his body and permeate his soul and mental strength. Faintly, he could hear the roar of a phoenix, as if it was trying to break free from the shackles of the nine heavens and break through the shackles of the great Tao. What a familiar aura! In his hazy state, Jiang Chun was puzzled. This scorching aura was familiar. However, he could not remember clearly. After all, the injury to his soul had not healed, and his mental strength was in a mess. In his hazy state, he fainted again, and even a wisp of his consciousness fell asleep. Like a living dead, Jiang Chun was soaking in the blood pool. He didn't know his body was going through a huge change. "So, it's you?" Suddenly, an illusory voice sounded in Mo Xingtian's ears. At this moment, Mo Xingtian narrowed his eyes and looked around, but he did not see anyone. "Who is it?" Mo Xingtian said in a deep voice. His body tensed, afraid that it was an assassin from the hidden pavilion. "Brat, it's really you." After a few breaths, the blood pool suddenly burned, and a shocking roar came from the depths of the blood pool. Bang! A vast and mighty demonic aura burst out like a tidal wave, causing Mo Xingtian to faint. After a few more breaths, the sound of chains sliding could be heard from the depths of the blood pool. A head that looked like a featherless rooster appeared from the depths of the blood pool. "Brat, didn't you become a god? I heard that you had a good time in the continent of the nine clouds. Why did you come back?" The featherless rooster said coldly, gritting his teeth. Unfortunately, the lower half of his body was entangled by red chains, as if he was imprisoned. Although his eyes were filled with hatred, as if he wanted to swallow Jiang Chun, he could do nothing to Jiang Chun. He could only stick his head out and roar with all his might, cursing continuously. After an hour, the featherless rooster seemed to be tired of cursing. He stared at the unconscious Jiang Chun with a sullen face and said lightly, "Aren't you very powerful? Now you still need my blood to revive you. When you wake up, I'll be your savior. Nethery?" As soon as he finished speaking, Jiang Chun suddenly opened his eyes. He stared at the featherless rooster's attack as if he was wondering if he had seen wrongly. "Nethery? Get out of here! I'm the Nine Netherworld Phoenix. In this world, who dares to call me Nethery?" The featherless rooster roared angrily. He seemed to be very sensitive to the word Nethery. "Nethery? Is it really you?" Jiang Chun had just woken up. It was as if he had just had a big dream. His entire body was still in a daze. Especially after seeing the Nine Netherworld Phoenix, Jiang Chun was even more surprised. His originally fuzzy consciousness was now in a mess. "I'm warning you. Call me the Nine Netherworld Phoenix." The Nine Netherworld Phoenix roared. "Nethery, why are you here?" Jiang Chun frowned. After coming back to his senses, he couldn't help but recall the past. Back then, when Jiang Chun entered the Ninth Netherworld to search for the Inferno Underworld soil, he happened to meet the Nine Netherworld Phoenix. And the Nine Netherworld Phoenix happened to be guarding the Inferno Underworld soil. At that time, with Jiang Chun's temper, he naturally took action. Not only did he take away the Inferno Underworld soil, but he also suppressed the Nine Netherworld Phoenix and used it as a mount. Chapter 85. After that, when Jiang Chun ascended, the Nine Phoenix suffered a calamity and was seriously injured, almost dying. Jiang Chen sealed it in a treasure land of mountains and rivers, hoping to use the power of the mountains and rivers to heal the 9U Phoenix. Back then, according to Jiang Chen's idea, the 9U Phoenix would be able to recover in less than 100 years. At that time, they would be able to reunite in the ninth heaven. But who would have thought that Jiang Chen would go to the ninth heaven and become the divine king for 3,000 years? But the 9U Phoenix would not ascend. And now, Jiang Chen was in trouble, but he saw his former mount in this blood pool. You still have the face to say that? Back then, you sealed me. But in the end, the seal was pried open. After that, I was trapped here. The 9U Phoenix roared. Is there a master like you? No matter what, I am still your mount. When you set up the seal for me, can't you be more careful? Can't you be more secure? This. Jiang Chen was stunned. His face turned red as he said weakly, Aren't you still alive? Living is worse than dying. This group of devil cultivator has always been using this king's blood essence to cultivate. All year round, they treat this king like a bathhouse. The 9U Phoenix was angry as he spoke. His face was red as he pointed at his hair and said with a dark face, Do you see that? My blood essence is almost exhausted. Even my hair is almost gone. The 9U Phoenix felt bitter in his heart, although Jiang Chen had sealed him in order to save him. But who would have thought that after 100 years, just as the 9U Phoenix was about to recover, it was found by the founder of the devil sect. Next, the 9U Phoenix would suffer. His seal had been pried open, and he had been imprisoned. His blood essence had been used as bathing water. This kind of bitterness almost drove the 9U Phoenix crazy. All right, I'll let you out later, Jiang Chen said. Now is the time to use people. You can come and help me. Help you. I used to be your mount, but this time, I want you to be my mount. The 9 Netherworld Phoenix roared. The resentment in its heart was extremely deep. Hearing this, Jiang Chen chuckled and stood up from the blood pool. He waved at the 9 Netherworld Phoenix and said, Then goodbye. Don't, brother. I'm your nethery. At this moment, the 9 Nether Phoenix's expression changed. She licked her lips and said with a smile, Big brother, I'll be your mount. I don't want it. Jiang Chen smiled and said, I'm in trouble, falling from the 9 heavens. With my current cultivation, I'm afraid I can't suppress you. What if you betray me after I let you out? When the time comes, I'll really be your mount. Of course not. I am the most upright and loyal 9 Nether Phoenix in the world. I dare say that no one in my 9 Netherworld Phoenix clan is more honest than I am. The 9 Netherworld Phoenix said seriously. Hearing this, Jiang Chen couldn't help but cover his eyes and tease. You're from the 9 Netherworld Phoenix clan? You're the only one in the entire clan. Who are you going to compare with? Also, what do you mean by upright and honest? You've troubled many ladies of the Phoenix clan before, right? I'm carrying on the family line, the 9 Netherworld Phoenix retorted. Carrying on the family line? Sure. The corner of Jiang Chen's mouth twitched and said, It's fine if you flirt with the Phoenix clan. They're also from the same clan and are all phoenixes. But you flirt with the White Tiger clan, the Qilin clan, and even F***CK, the Golden Dragon clan. You are carrying on the family line? I. The 9 Netherworld Phoenix's old face turned red. Thinking back to the past, he felt embarrassed. He was sullen and didn't speak for a long time. His old face was getting redder and redder. All right, it's not like I'm not saving you. Jiang Chen smiled and said, The chains on your body are made of supreme magic iron and have been set with a special brand. Whoever started the trouble should end it. If you want to escape, you can only get the people from the Devil sect to help you. Hearing this, the 9 Netherworld Phoenix heaved a sigh of relief. He was really afraid that Jiang Chen would abandon him. I'll go and discuss with the people from the Devil sect, Jiang Chen said, then woke up the unconscious Mo Xingtian. Are you okay? Mo Xingtian woke up and stared at Jiang Chen. He asked worriedly, Do you want to soak for a while more? No, I don't like chicken blood. Jiang Chen said softly. Bullsh**T. This is the blood of the Phoenix. The blood of the 9 Netherworld Phoenix. The 9 Netherworld Phoenix roared, looking very angry. However, At the thought of having to rely on Jiang Chun to get out of trouble, she lost her temper right away. She murmured in a low voice, Okay, whatever you say. I'll do it. Whatever. On the side, Mo Xingtian was dumbfounded. He looked at the bald rooster's head in the blood pool and didn't come back to his senses for a long time. As the great elder of the Devil's Sect, it wasn't the first time he entered the forbidden area. However, it was the first time he saw other living creatures in the blood pool. What? What breed of chicken is he? Mo Xingtian was stunned for a long time before he asked directly. Bang! As soon as he said that, a burst of spiritual energy exploded from the blood pool and sent Mo Xingtian flying. You're the chicken. I'm a phoenix. A phoenix as in a phoenix. The 9 netherworld phoenix roared in anger. Being mocked by Jiangchen was one thing, but now it was being mocked by Mo Xingtian. This was simply unbearable. All right, stay here. Jiangchen waved his hand and smiled at Mo Xingtian. It's fine. This bald rooster has a bad temper. It's just a bald rooster. I'll steal you one day. Mo Xingtian said coldly. He was full of demonic nature. He would only restrain himself in front of Jiang Chun. After that, Jiang Chun and Mo Xingtian left the cave and found Mo Yuan in the Devil's Sect's main hall. You're really lucky to have survived. Mo Yuan glanced at Jiang Chun lightly and said, Since there's nothing else, let's go. My Devil's Sect doesn't like outsiders. I'm here to discuss something with you. I plan to take away the old rooster in your blood pool. Can you make it convenient for me? Jiang Chun said directly. Oh, you found it? Mo Yuan was surprised. After all, only the Devil's Sect masters knew about the 9 netherworld phoenix in the blood pool. However, if Mo Yuan let the 9 netherworld phoenix go, it would be equivalent to destroying the blood pool. The blood pool was the foundation of the Devil's Sect. Every sect master would cultivate in the blood pool. If the blood pool was gone, the Devil's Sect would lose a huge part of its foundation. If you let it go, you can have whatever compensation you want. Jiang Chun said, cultivation techniques, martial skills, and even the inheritance of the gods. As long as you say it, I can give it to you. Inheritance? Martial skills? I don't want them. Mo Yuan shook his head and rolled his eyes. He looked at Jiang Chun as if he were looking at an idiot. Even though the Devil's Sect has declined and is living in seclusion in such a remote place, the inheritance of the Devil's Sect is from the founder of the Devil's Sect, Yi Qianxiu. Yi Qianxiu? The ancestor of the Devil's Sect? Jiang Chun was stunned. He hadn't thought that the Devil's Sect's inheritance would be so powerful. Yi Qianxiu was extremely famous in the continent of the 9 clouds. He was called the ancestor of the Devil's Sect. However, Jiang Chun seemed to remember that Yi Qianxiu had been killed by the Sovereign of Light. Chapter 86. Your ancestor is already dead, Jiang Chun snappily said. What's so good about a dead person's inheritance? I'll give you something even more powerful than Yi Qianxiu's. Like hell I'll believe you. Mo Yuan curled his lips. All right, I don't want to argue with you. If not for Mo Xingtian, I wouldn't even let you enter the blood pool. You, don't push your luck. If you want me to release the 9 nether phoenix, you'll be destroying the foundation of the Devil's Sect. Mo Yuan coldly said, and even ordered him to leave. Hearing this, Jiang Chun slowly shook his head. He knew what the blood pool meant to the Devil's Sect. Since Mo Yuan wasn't willing to release it, and Jiang Chun couldn't beat Mo Yuan, he could only give up for now. It wouldn't be too late to release the 9 nether phoenix when he was strong enough, or could take out something that Mo Yuan was interested in. However, Jiang Chun didn't know that by the time he released the 9 nether phoenix, it would have already shed all of its feathers. At that time, it would probably become a featherless rooster. All right, it won't die for now anyway. Jiang Chun muttered and then cupped his hands. Thank you for the blood pool. If the Devil's Sect is in trouble in the future, you can come to my sect. I'll definitely help you. What trouble can my Devil's Sect face? We've been in seclusion for so many years, we've long stopped caring about worldly affairs. Mo Yuan softly said, if my Devil's Sect doesn't provoke others, others won't provoke my Devil's Sect either. I hope so, Jiang Chun said. Then, Jiang Chun left, followed by Mo Xingtian. The nine Nether Phoenix anxiously waited in the blood pool, but it didn't know that Jiang Chun had already left. After leaving the Devil's Sect, Jiang Lu and Bai Fengyu, who were waiting at the mountain gate, were extremely excited. Their worried hearts finally relaxed. "What's next?" Bai Fengyu asked. "Don't you need to rest for a few days?" "No need," Jiang Chun softly said. "My current condition is better than before." "What did you feed him?" Jiang Chun asked from the side. He felt that at this moment, the blood energy in Jiang Chun's body was even more exuberant. Even his essence, energy, and body gave off a sense of oppression. "Phoenix blood," Mo Xingtian said. "Stop looking. You won't be able to eat it." I don't want to eat." Jianglu wiped the saliva from the corner of his mouth, puffed up his cheeks, and said, "Who cares? I don't care." After that, Jiang Chun didn't say much and brought them back to Chuanzuan's sect. After that, on the same day, Jiang Chun led a group of people directly to the mountain gate of the Alliance. However, when they arrived at the Alliance conference, they saw that the mountain gate of the Alliance conference was filled with people. Among them were people from Eight Paths sect. Apparently, since Jiang Chun had eliminated the Star Sword sect, the Union Association and the Eight Paths School had been scared out of their wits. Therefore, the two great sects had joined hands. "Jiang Chun, is it not enough for you to destroy the Star Sword sect? You still want to destroy our Alliance conference? You're just a mere Chuanzuan sect. You can destroy Star Sword sect, but do you have the strength to destroy our Alliance conference and Eight Paths sect?" The masters of the two sects had all gathered at the Alliance conference. Around them, there were more than 20 Dao Realm masters, not including some honored elders and honored elders. If these people were included, the number of Dao Realm cultivators would far exceed Chuanzuan's sect. However, since he had come today, Jiang Chun had no intention of retreating. What's more, they were just Dao Realm cultivators. Jiang Chun didn't put them in his eyes. Star Sword sect was destroyed, and the Alliance Conference and Eight Paths sect joined forces. It seems that all three sects have a share in the bounty issued by Sir Dark Pavilion. Jiang Chun said coldly. It was exactly because of that bounty that Jiang Chun had a headache. If he wasn't strong enough and had many tricks up his sleeves, he would have been killed by the Dark Pavilion's assassins. Now, looking at the reaction of the Alliance Conference and Eight Paths sect, Jiang Chun was certain that all three sects had a share in the bounty. Since that was the case, today was the day to destroy them. Kill. At this moment, Jiang Chun didn't say a word. With a wave of his hand, a group of cultivators behind him rushed out. Like tigers and wolves, they rushed forward and fought with the other party in the blink of an eye. Jiang Chun, on the other hand, took a step forward. True Qi burst out from his body, and he stood in the middle of the battlefield like a boulder. He stared at the two sect masters of the Alliance Conference and Eight Paths sect in the distance and shouted, "Come and accept your death. Brat, today you're dead." The two sect masters were furious. How could they endure being provoked by a brat like this? Immediately, the two sect masters flew over and stood above Jiang Chun's head. True Qi appeared in their palms, and wisps of spiritual energy rose. The fist light was like the sun, piercing down and distorting the air. The palm print was like a bright moon, white and flawless, but exuding a cold aura. "In this world, no one can stand above my head," Jiang Chun shouted angrily. His hands formed a seal, and barriers rose up. Buzz! Accompanied by a roar, the air seemed to freeze. The two sect masters, who were originally in the air, were shocked. Their bodies swayed, and they fell from the sky. Forbidden Sky Barrier? You have a lot of tricks up your sleeve, but so what? You're just an Origin Realm cultivator. Today, no matter how you spread your wings, we'll cut you down. We'll break your wings. The two sect masters' faces were gloomy, and their killing intent skyrocketed. When they looked at Jiang Chun, their eyes were cold. At this moment, Jiang Chun waved his hands and punched out with both fists, shattering the opponent's fist light and palm print. Then, Jiang Chun didn't say a word. A breeze blew under his feet, and his figure moved horizontally, leaving behind afterimages. Screech! Before the two sect masters could react, a phoenix cry sounded in the air. When they raised their heads to take a look and came to themselves, they saw that Jiang Chun had already landed on their heads. His body was wrapped in flames, and his figure swooped down. At first glance, he looked like a burning phoenix. Phoenix strike! With a light shout, Jiang Chen's entire body slammed into the two sect masters. In an instant, smoke and dust rose everywhere. Flames erupted, and the scorching air flow reversed. Even the air was distorted. As for the two sect leaders, their bodies were sent flying. Blood spurted from their mouths, their chests caved in, and their ribs were all broken. Moreover, there were still flames burning on their bodies, like the inextinguishable flames of a phoenix. No matter how they struggled or resisted, they couldn't extinguish the flames. There's a rumor in the world that ants can shake the Azure Dragon. Little do they know that the Azure Dragon looks down on the world, and that there are no ants in its eyes. Jiang Chen whispered. He raised two fingers in front of him, and two cold lights burst forth. Whoosh! Whoosh! Accompanied by two whistling sounds. Two streaks of light pierced through the air like sharp arrows, piercing through the Union leader and Eight Paths sect leader. President? Sect master? At this moment, cries of alarm rang out. Seeing their sect masters dead, the people of the two sect masters panicked. How could they have the courage to continue fighting? As the saying goes, when the enemy is dead, the soldiers will fall, and when the general retreats, the battle will be lost. With the two sect masters dead, the remaining people no longer had the strength to fight. They no longer had the courage and confidence to continue fighting. Chapter 87. Someone turned around and fled amidst a few furious roars. Following this, the crowd fled for their lives too. A few moments later, the experts of the Alliance Assembly and the Eight Paths sect were either dead or on the run. Go back, I'll pay a visit to Qingyan Town, Jiang Chen said softly. The battle with the three sects had finally come to an end. And now, Jiang Chen was going to do one last thing. Destroy the Secret Pavilion's branch, the Black Cloud Inn. By the way, the Star Sword sect, the Alliance Association, and the Eight Paths School have been eliminated. You should send people to their sects to take back all of their treasures and add them to the treasury of the whole venerable school, Jiang Chen said. Got it? We'll do it right away. Roger. After arranging everything, Jiang Chen rose from his seat and headed to Qingyan Town alone. Half a day later, when Jiang Chen arrived at Qingyan Town, his appearance and aura had changed. After all, the Secret Pavilion's branch was located in Qingyan Town. If Jiang Chen did not disguise himself, he would be targeted by the assassins of the Secret Pavilion as soon as he appeared. Now, Jiang Chen's first objective in Qingyan Town was not to eliminate the Secret Pavilion, but to find Wu Mu. A few moments later, Jiang Chen entered the Martial Pavilion and found Wu Mu at the back of the pavilion. You're in big trouble. Wu Mu had signed a contract with Jiang Chen. Thus he knew the stranger was Jiang Chen. As soon as he saw Qin Nan, he said worriedly, You've eliminated 3 sects in a row. The Martial Pavilion will surely punish you. I know. Jiang Chen nodded. The Martial Pavilion is responsible for maintaining order among the sects of the Godless Continent. I've eliminated 3 sects in a row, yet I didn't report it to the Martial Pavilion in advance. It's reasonable for them to punish me. However, despite this, Jiang Chen wasn't worried at all. After all, the 3 sects had been eliminated. Even if the Martial Pavilion were to punish him, they would at most punish him. They would not eliminate the Zun sect. The only thing that Jiang Chen was worried about was Duga Lucheng. If this guy were to report this to the Martial Pavilion's branch in solitary North City, Jiang Chen's crime would become even more serious. At that time, when the Martial Pavilion came to punish him, it would not be as simple as punishment. Sigh, I had some misgivings back then and didn't kill Duga Lucheng. Jiang Chen sighed, feeling a bit regretful. However, Jiang Chen knew that even if he had killed Duga Lucheng, the Martial Pavilion would still find out that it was him. After all, there were only people from the Chuanzun sect at that time. Do you have a way? Jiang Chen asked, and told Wu Mu about him and Duge Luqing. Wu Mu's face fell when he heard that. Duge Luqing is the Grand Elder of solitary North City's Martial Pavilion. He has great power. Even I, the Martial Pavilion's branch in Qingyun Town, have to listen to him, Wu Mu said. Why did you and him think of a way slowly? At the same time, use your Martial Pavilion's power to clean up the people around the Black Cloud Inn so that they won't be implicated. Jiang Chen said. Wu Mu's eyes narrowed when he heard this, and he said in a low voice, Black Cloud Inn? You're not going to take action, are you? Previously, when Jiang Chen was about to take action, he had also informed Wu Mu. However, Wu Mu thought that Jiang Chen was just joking. After all, destroying the 3 major sects was a small matter. However, if he destroyed the secret pavilion's branch, this matter would be blown out of proportion. At that time, even the Martial Pavilion would not be able to protect Jiang Chen. It's about time. Jiang Chen nodded and said, Don't worry. After destroying the secret pavilion's branch, they won't be able to find out that it was me. But what if something is revealed? Wu Mu frowned and said, Go if I ask you to. Jiang Chen's eyes flickered coldly as he said, I've never lacked subordinates or servants, and the Martial Pavilion won't lack a branch leader like you. Wu Mu's back was covered in a layer of cold sweat after hearing this. He clearly knew that Jiang Chen could take his life at any time. Meanwhile, the Martial Pavilion would not make a fuss just because of a branch leader in a remote place like him. I'll go now. After a moment of silence, Wu Mu wiped the cold sweat on his forehead and left. Half the period it took an incense to burn. Wu Mu transmitted his voice to Jiang Chen through the contract that the people around the Black Cloud Inn had been evacuated. Branch of the secret pavilion? Black Cloud Inn? Humph, it's time to settle this today. Jiang Chen murmured as his eyes flickered with a murderous intent. Following this, Jiang Chen rose and put on a cloak before heading to the Black Cloud Inn. Azure Cloud Town. There was no one on the streets. Only the afterglow of the setting sun shone on both sides of the street. The wind blew, and it seemed a little desolate. Under the afterglow, a person in a cloak walked with steady steps. His hair fell from the cloak and fluttered in the wind. That person was none other than Jiang Chen. Following Jiang Chen's appearance, Dao Realm cultivators in the corners of the streets, houses, and restaurants stood up one after another and leaped down, arriving behind Jiang Chen. By the time Jiang Chen arrived at the entrance of the Black Cloud Inn, there were already more than 30 Dao Realm cultivators behind him. Among them, Lu Shan and Tong Sang had already received their orders and blended into the crowd after disguising themselves. Occasionally, people would pop their heads out of the houses on both sides of the street, as though they wanted to watch the show. However, when they saw so many Dao Realm cultivators, everyone was shocked and hurriedly closed their doors, afraid that they would cause trouble. Buzz! Right then, Jiang Chen waved his hand, and the array formation that the formation masters had set up in secret rows. Accompanied by a buzz, a gigantic hexagram suddenly rose from the ground and enveloped the black cloud in like a heavenly canopy. Sir, what's the meaning of this? My Black Cloud Tavern is just a small business, an honest and stable person. Instantly, a middle-aged man walked out of the Black Cloud Inn. Although he looked honest, he had a panicked expression. Although his body was trembling, his eyes flashed with a cold glint. Small business? A stable and honest man? When Jiang Chen heard that, he sneered. Since when did the assassins of Hidden Pavilion start doing small businesses? Honest and honest? I'm afraid those words have already disappeared from the dictionary of Hidden Pavilion, right? Fu, sir, since you know that Black Cloud Inn is a branch of Hidden Pavilion, where did you get the guts to come here? The man's voice turned cold instantly. At the same time, more than 30 Dao Realm cultivators walked out of the Black Cloud Inn one after another. Among them, there was no lack of experts at the peak of the Dao Realm. In fact, Jiang Chen could even sense an extremely terrifying aura within the Black Cloud Inn. It was an expert that surpassed the Dao Realm and was on the same level as martial masters, dark masters. After surpassing the martial Dao, A fork appeared in the path of cultivation. Some continued to cultivate and were known as martial masters. Some were proficient in formations and were known as formation masters. There were also sword masters, world spiritists, and dark masters who specialized in assassination techniques. Chapter 88. Every single profession was different, and it was difficult to differentiate between the strong and the weak. Of course, there were certain professions that were especially troublesome. For example, dark masters specialized in assassination and were proficient in all sorts of assassination methods. Once they had killing intent towards you, their attacks would catch you off guard. There was a saying among cultivators that one would rather offend 10 martial masters than offend a single dark master. This is troublesome. There's a dark master in charge. Jiang Chun felt his hair stand on end as he glanced at the group of people around him and sighed internally. He was not worried about himself. Instead, he was worried about whether the group of people here could defend against the assassination of the Dark Master. They were already at a disadvantage in terms of cultivation realm. Now that they were facing a Dark Master, how many of them could survive if they were to fight? Perhaps Jiang Chun was the only one who could survive. All of you leave the formation. I'll handle it alone, Jiang Chun said in a deep voice. The moment he said that, the group of people behind him could not help but be stunned and even more puzzled. After all, Jiang Chun's cultivation was the lowest among the group. He was only at Essence Realm. However, they were all at the Dao Realm, or even at the peak of the Dao Realm. Wasn't Jiang Chun sending himself to his death by facing so many Dao Realm assassins of Dark Pavilion alone? Listen to him. Leave. All of you leave. Lu Shan and Tong Sang spoke. They had absolute trust in Jiang Chun. Even though they were worried about Jiang Chun, they would naturally obey Jiang Chun's instructions. Eventually, the group of people retreated, leaving Jiang Chun alone in the formation to face off against the assassins of Dark Pavilion. Sir, are you joking? The middle-aged man said coldly. You're at Essence Realm alone? Are you here to die? Or do you really not take my secret pavilion seriously? You're right. I've never taken Dark Pavilion seriously. Jiang Chun said softly and pointed to the hexagram formation above his head. You guys had better protect yourselves first. What? Just as the assassins were puzzled, a rain of swords rained down from the hexagram formation. The sword light wantonly traversed everywhere, just like a sword formation. Poof! Poof! In the short span of a few breaths, only sword rays could be seen flying about chaotically. Muffled sounds could be heard, and blood splattered everywhere. Even though these assassins were proficient in the art of concealment and assassination, they had nowhere to hide under the rain of swords. Brat, you really deserve to die. You dare to touch my secret pavilion? You're dead meat today. At this moment, the assassins who had regained their senses roared angrily. Black fog swirled around their bodies, and they seemed to have turned into phantoms as they disappeared from their original positions. Under the rain of swords, one could vaguely see streaks of black light rushing through the rain of swords, rushing towards Jiang Chun. Jiang Chun narrowed his eyes, and a pair of flaming wings appeared on his back. Runes condensed on his hands. Kill whoever comes. With an angry roar, Jiang Chun threw his fist over. Runes erupted from his palm, and they looked like stars. On his back, the blazing wings flapped, and flames gushed out like a raging inferno. Raging flames, fist radiance, accompanied by the sword rain whizzing past like brilliant fireworks. Amidst the fireworks, the assassins' lives were blooming. One by one, they exploded and died. They were shattered by the fist radiance, burned by the flames, and pierced by the sword rain. Under this brilliant attack, it was like a devil's snare flower in the underworld. Amidst the beauty, there was danger, accompanied by the loss of life. How dare you? However, all of a sudden, a clear voice rang out near Jiang Chun's ears. Jiang Chun was shocked when he heard that. He did not know when the Dark Master had sneaked up on him. Fortunately, Jiang Chun reacted quickly. When he saw a cold light appear behind him, he moved sideways. However, this cold light was extremely fast. It carried a dark green poisonous gas and brushed past Jiang Qin's cheek, leaving a wound on his face. In an instant, the poisonous gas entered his body. Like countless ants, it gnawed at Jiang Qin's essence. How dare you bully my secret pavilion when you're so weak? The Dark Master did not reveal himself. Instead, he hid in the dark and spoke in a cold and contemptuous voice. You've been poisoned by my secret pavilion's unique poison. You're dead meat. You've killed so many of my secret pavilion's elites. After you die, I'll investigate your identity and exterminate your entire family. Not far away, a group of assassins roared angrily. They had lost more than half of their men in the previous battle, and all of this was because of Jiang Qin. Poison? You seem to be playing with me. Jiang Qin chuckled. A raging flame erupted from his body, but it was as dark as the abyss. A scorching aura filled the air, as if it wanted to burn Jiang Qin's body. Vaguely, a low phoenix cry could be heard from his body. Luckily, I bathed in Nethery's blood and left a wisp of 9 Netherworld Phoenix flame in my body. Otherwise, I would have been poisoned to death. Jiang Qin's heart was still beating fast. He lowered his eyes and stared at the empty space on his left. There seemed to be nothing unusual there, but Jiang Qin could sense that the Dark Master was hiding there. Kill him! Kill! At that moment, the group of assassins saw that Jiang Qin was safe and sound. They were shocked and rushed over. However, before they could reach him, another rain of swords fell from the hexagram array. All of you back off! The Dark Master, who was hiding in the dark, hurriedly ordered. If the group of assassins rushed over again, they would probably be killed by the array before they could even touch the corner of Jiang Qin's clothes. Since you're already here, stay, Jiang Qin said coldly. He formed a seal with both hands and released his mental strength. The hexagram array shone brightly. Just like the million swords greeting the sect, the sword rays were densely packed. They rose up and fell wantonly, sealing the space. In an instant, only screams could be heard. Blood splattered everywhere. The assassins were pierced by the sword rays and fell to the ground dead. In just a few breaths, the Dark Master was the only one left in the Qingyun town's secret pavilion. I'm going to tear you into pieces. The Dark Master was furious. A black light like a shadow rushed in front of Jiang Qin with a roar. Jiang Qin was already on guard. The moment the Dark Master approached him, the flaming wings on his back flapped, and he flew into the sky. You can still run? The Dark Master shouted angrily. Like a black fog, he flew into the sky and chased after Jiang Qin. However, after Jiang Qin rose into the sky, his entire body burned with flames. Then, like a flaming meteor, he swooped down and collided with the Dark Master, who was rushing toward him. Boom! With a loud explosion, everyone saw Jiang Qin fly backward like a kite with a broken string, spitting out blood. At the same time, the Dark Master revealed himself. His body was burning with flames that could not be extinguished. Moreover, on the Dark Master's body, there was a wisp of blood that Jiang Qin spat out. It was like a brand, and strands of red light pulsed on his arm. Since you've been branded by the blood brand, no matter how great your concealment technique is, you won't be able to escape my detection. Jiang Qin stood up from the ground. His face was cold. He said, Now, I'll free you. Chapter 89. The entire place was silent at this moment. Whether it was those watching from outside the formation or the Dark Masters, they all fell silent. They were all puzzled. Where did Jiang Qin get his confidence from? One had to know that the other party was a Dark Master. In terms of cultivation, he was 2 realms higher than Jiang Qin. He was also an expert in assassination and concealment techniques. Could Jiang Qin's blood mark really make it impossible for the Dark Master to hide? Moreover, even if the Dark Master couldn't conceal himself, he could still firmly suppress Jiang Qin with his cultivation level and even kill him. You're a bit too arrogant. After a few breaths, the Dark Master finally spoke. He glanced at the blood mark on his arm, and a trace of contempt flashed through his eyes. Blood mark, is it? Do you think this will make it impossible for me to hide? How laughable. As soon as he finished speaking, a black mist erupted from the Dark Master's body. The entire formation was shrouded in a layer of black mist. The group of people watching from outside the formation couldn't see anything clearly at this moment. Even Jiang Chen seemed to have gone blind at this moment. Whoosh! Suddenly, the sound of something breaking through the air rang in Jiang Chen's ears. Following that, a cold light flashed, but in an instant, it turned into a mist as black as ink. The mist was colorless and odorless. Mixed within it were sharp black needles that pierced towards Jiang Chen's forehead. I told you, you can't escape my senses. Jiang Chen was very calm. He raised his hand and punched out with a wave of his hand. His powerful body emitted a dazzling light, as if draped in a layer of divine light. The sharp needles were shattered by the punch. Then, Jiang Chen closed his eyes and slammed his palm behind him. Bang! In the next second, the sound of fist and palm colliding rang out like a clap of thunder. Jiang Chen took a few steps back. The qi and blood in his body churned, but there was a trace of a smile at the corner of his mouth. The Dark Master was incomparably shocked. He couldn't believe that an Origin Realm cultivator could go head-to-head with him. One had to know that he could suppress Jiang Chen in terms of cultivation alone. What flowed in his body was not true qi, but spiritual power. In terms of power, it far surpassed qi. However, even with such a huge gap between them, he was actually unable to gain the upper hand when he clashed head-on with Jiang Chen. In fact, the web between his thumb and forefinger had split open, and his arm was trembling slightly. Put away your laughable black fog. If it wasn't for the great dark sky, what else in this world could confuse my eyes? Jiang Chen said. With a wave of his hand, a rain of swords fell from the sky. You're just an Origin Realm cultivator in the end, the Dark Master coldly said. The black fog didn't disperse. His figure was like a bone-rotting poison that stuck to Jiang Chen's body. Shadow strike. In an instant, an obscure aura filled the air. Jiang Chen's shadow seemed to come alive as it rolled up and trapped his four limbs. Bang! However, in the blink of an eye, Jiang Chen's body shook. Heavenly stars erupted, and true qi gushed out like a flood, shattering the shadowy chains. Immediately after, a resplendent rune appeared between his brows. When his eyes suddenly opened, a galaxy seemed to float in the depths of his eyes. Forbidden technique. Might of the galaxy. With a soft cry, silver light burst forth from Jiang Chen's eyes. A silver dragon spiraled out and swept across the Dark Master behind him. This time, the Dark Master's body trembled. His chest caved in as he spat out a mouthful of blood. He was finally injured. At the same time, silver light shone in Jiang Chen's eyes. The black fog around him could no longer obscure his vision. He slowly turned around with a cold expression on his face. There were 36 drops of essence blood floating around him. It's over, Jiang Chen murmured. His mental strength exploded, and in conjunction with his hand seals, the 36 drops of essence blood spun quickly around him. A crimson light spread out from them. It's over? Yes. Although I'm injured, the one who will die in this battle will still be you, the Dark Master said coldly. He spread his arms horizontally, and shadowy fog filled the air. Layer upon layer, the fog distorted the space around them. Shadow assassination technique. Overlapping shadows. With a roar, the Dark Master seemed to have used all his strength. His face was pale, and cold sweat appeared on his forehead. However, Jiang Chen's hand seals were formed at this moment. Forbidden technique. Bestowment liberation. In an instant, Jiang Chen's body seemed to collapse. It turned into drops of light and fused with the 36 drops of essence blood around him. Then, a holy light burst forth. The 36 drops of essence blood were like 36 different weapons that slashed toward the Dark Master. On the way, the shadowy fog was dispersed by the holy light. As the swords and sabers clashed, illusions appeared in everyone's eyes. It was as if 36 Jiang Chun had attacked at the same time. The 36 weapons slashed down from all directions. No! At this moment, the Dark Master was terrified. His eyes widened in anger. He wanted to resist, but he found that his body had been penetrated. 36 beams of light fell one after another until the Dark Master's body was reduced to dust. Finally, under the holy light, the Dark Master's body disintegrated and turned into nothingness. Not even a trace of ash was left. After the Dark Master died, the 36 weapons merged into Jiang Chen's body. Puff! In an instant, Jiang Chen's face turned pale. His body swayed, and blood spurted out of his mouth. One could even see the fragments of his internal organs in the blood. Then, before anyone could react, Jiang Chen's right arm broke and fell to the ground. Another 3 breaths later, Jiang Chen's left foot shattered. He could not stand steadily and fell to the ground. A few breaths later, Jiang Chen's forehead split open, and his forehead bone was exposed. It looked like his entire head was about to explode. This forbidden technique, it's best not to use it. Jiang Chen smiled bitterly in his heart. Bestowal liberation, killing 1,000 enemies, losing 900 of his own. It was even to the extent that if Jiang Chen didn't have a strong body, once he exerted such a forbidden technique, it would be tantamount to perishing together with him. Are you okay, Master? Outside the array, Tong Sang and Lu Shan reacted and rushed in. They helped Jiang Chen up and asked worriedly, "Pick up my arms and legs and bring me to the Devil Sect." Jiang Chen said weakly, "I need to take a bath." "Ah? Take a bath in the Devil Sect? What? Master, you're too injured. Is your consciousness blurry? Why are you talking nonsense?" Lu Shan and Tong Sang were stunned. He was injured to this extent, and he still wanted to take a bath? Looking at his broken arms and legs, if they were not reconnected in time, Jiang Chen would be crippled. Call Mo Xingtian over and let him lead the way to the Devil Sect. Hurry! As Jiang Chen spoke, he coughed up a few more mouthfuls of blood. Hurry! Otherwise, you'll have to collect my corpse. Tong Sang's eyes were sharp. In the blood, she seemed to see half of a heart. She was stunned. Are you sure you can still be saved? I cough, of course I can. Jiang Chen rolled his eyes and spat out a few more mouthfuls of blood. This time, there was half a kidney in the blood. Chapter 90. Everyone's eyes were shaking, and they couldn't even bear to look straight at him. He had coughed up half of his kidney. Could he really be saved? Hurry up, Jiang Chen urged. If you're any later, I'll vomit all my internal organs. Let's go, let's go. Immediately, no one dared to hesitate. They found a rogue cultivator who knew the way and sent Jiang Chen to the Devil Sect. Half a day later, in the blood pool in the forbidden area of the Devil Sect. F***CK. What do you take me for? You're eating and drinking outside without bringing me along, and you come here to take a bath when you're injured? The 9 Nether Phoenix roared angrily. What the hell are you shouting for? I'm eating and drinking outside? Are you blind? Can't you see that I almost vomited my intestines? Jiang Chen rolled his eyes as he soaked in the blood pool. If he hadn't been sent to the blood pool in time to bathe in the 9 Nether Phoenix's blood essence, Jiang Chen would have vomited all his internal organs. The backlash of the forbidden technique, bestowal release, was too terrifying. If he was careless, he would die. I don't care. You have to let me out this time. The 9 Nether Phoenix shouted. If you're any later, you'll have to collect my corpse. It's good that you're dead. If you're dead, you can be stewed into soup and nourish yourself. Jiang Chen teased. As soon as he said this, the 9 Nether Phoenix's temper instantly disappeared. He knew very well that Jiang Chen could really do anything. Brother, master, I beg you, think of a way to get me out. The 9 Nether Phoenix softened and begged. What can I do? Mo Yuan won't let you go. Jiang Chen was also speechless. He frowned and said, if it was an ordinary person, I would have definitely used force. But the key is that I can't see through Mo Yuan's background. Hearing this, the nine nether phoenix widened its eyes and exclaimed, "What? You can't see through it? Is that old grandson Mo Yuan's cultivation that high?" "I'm afraid. It's very high." Jiangchen nodded. One had to know that Jiangchen could see through a person's cultivation base at a glance. However, Mo Yuan's cultivation was like a bottomless pit. Jiangchen could not see through it at all. The Devil Sect was once an extremely powerful sect. Now that the Devil Sect has declined, it is supported by Mo Yuan. Tell me, if Mo Yuan's cultivation is not enough, can he support the entire Devil Sect by himself? Jiangchen asked. That's true. The nine Netherworld Phoenix nodded. Then, the nine Netherworld Phoenix's face fell. She hammered her chest and lamented. When will this end? You come here every few days to take a bath. It's fine if you pay, but the point is that you're doing it for free. Yeah. Then I'll give you a spirit stone after the bath, Jiangchen said, and then added, low-grade spirit stones. I am very poor now. I can't afford more. I'll do it. The nine Netherworld Phoenix roared again. Featherhead flapped his wings in the blood pool. It seemed that he was planning to beat up Jiangchen. However, he was trapped and could not get close to Jiangchen. Don't worry, I'll think of another way, Jiangchen comforted. Don't worry, Father will not leave you alone. The nine Netherworld Phoenix's face darkened. She had long been used to Jiangchen's way of speaking. In fact, the nine Netherworld Phoenix also knew that Jiangchen once claimed to be the representative of all the men in the godless continent. In fact, the so-called appearance was thick-skinned, not handsome. Sometimes I really wonder if I would still be living happily in the Netherworld if I didn't meet you. The nine Netherworld Phoenix muttered. If Father didn't bring you out, would you be able to see this colorful world? Would you be able to pick up the girls of the Dragon Clan and Qilin Clan? Jiangchen squinted and splashed a palm of water over. He said snappily, Come on, can you be as shameless as me? Get out of here. I don't want to see you. The nine Netherworld Phoenix roared again. She felt that she was about to explode from anger because of Jiangchen. Jiangchen did not speak anymore. After chuckling, he continued to use the blood pool to heal his injuries. A day later, Jiangchen's injuries were completely healed. After bidding farewell to the nine Netherworld Phoenix, he planned to return. However, just as he walked out of the forbidden area, Mo Yuan appeared in front of him. Do you really think my Devil Sect forbidden area is a bathhouse? Mo Yuan said coldly. Even if it is a bathhouse, it is my personal bathhouse, not a public bathhouse. Let's use it together, Jiangchen said with a smile. He even took out a spiritual stone and stuffed it into Mo Yuan's hand. He said, I'll pay you. Mo Yuan held the spirit stone and was stunned for a long time. Then his face darkened. There will be no next time. Don't. Jiangchen immediately became anxious. The blood essence of the nine Netherworld Phoenix could be said to be a holy healing medicine. If something happened to Jiangchen the next time, what would he do without the blood essence of the nine Netherworld Phoenix? One had to know that ever since Jiangchen was reborn, he had always been challenging those above his level. It was very normal for him to be injured. I need the nine Netherworld Phoenix. Jiangchen said, How about this? You let it go. I will raise it until it is white and fat. When the time comes, it will have more blood essence. I can also give you some. Let it go. What if it runs away? Mo Yuan curled his lips. This is something passed down by the ancestors. It can't be lost in my generation, right? If you don't let it go, it won't be able to hold on for much longer. It will die sooner or later. Jiangchen said, Think about it yourself. Then I can't let it go for nothing, right? Mo Yuan muttered. Jiangchen was overjoyed when he heard this. He knew that the reason Mo Yuan appeared in front of him today was to raise conditions. As long as the conditions were agreed, he might be able to let the nine Netherworld Phoenix out today. Say it. What will it take for you to let it go? Jiangchen said with a smile. As long as you want it, I can give you anything. I want Lin Lang Wentian's life. Can you give it to me? Mo Yuan asked. Lin Lang Wentian? Jiangchen was dumbfounded. He had never heard of this name. Mo Yuan was also dumbfounded when he saw this. He stared at Jiang Chun with a strange expression, as if he could not believe that Jiang Chun did not even know Lin Lang Wentian. That was the current pavilion master of the Martial Pavilion, the most powerful man in the entire godless continent. The pavilion master of the Martial Pavilion, you don't know? It is said that he is about to ascend to godhood. Mo Yuan explained, back then, the decline of my devil sect was related to the Martial Pavilion, and the person who led all of this was Lin Lang Wentian. Jiang Chen frowned, asking him to take Lin Lang Wentian's life with his current realm? Bullsh asterisk T? Even if Jiang Chen's strength was outstanding and could fight across realms, it also depended on which realm he was fighting against. A figure like Lin Lang Wentian's level was probably already standing at the pinnacle of cultivation in the godless continent. In this way, what could Jiang Chen use to take Lin Lang Wentian's life? Not now. When you become stronger in the future, you can also help me ask for it. Mo Yuan said, you just have to promise. So simple? Then what if I become friends with Lin Lang Wentian in the future? Jiang Chen asked doubtfully. You can't think like that. Mo Yuan said in all seriousness. What you should think about now is whether you will die prematurely. Chapter 91. Mo Yuan counted with his fingers and said slowly, as far as I know, you've caused a huge commotion outside. Not only did you destroy the 3 major sects, but you also destroyed the Secret Pavilion's branch, right? And the Grand Elder of the Martial Pavilion's branch in Solitary North City was also injured by you, right? Jiang Chen didn't know what to say. He felt a chill down his spine. Now that he thought about it, he had really caused so much trouble. If Jiang Chen didn't deal with these troubles properly, he probably wouldn't live for long. Don't I have you? Jiang Chen rolled his eyes and stared at Mo Yuan. You asked me to kill Lin Lang Wentian, so you have to protect me and let me grow, right? Me? I can't do it. Mo Yuan shook his head. Back then, when the demon sect was defeated, they swore a blood oath to never come out again. Otherwise, Ancestor Yi Qinxiu in the 9 clouds will suffer retribution. Mo Yuan was slightly embarrassed. Back then, I didn't know how to make a blood oath, so I used Ancestor's name to make the blood oath. Jiang Chun was confused. He suddenly recalled something. Back then, Yi Qinxiu was considered very strong in the 9 clouds. Even the Sovereign of Light wasn't his match. But one day, Yi Qinxiu seemed to have encountered some disaster, and his condition suddenly worsened. After that, the Sovereign of Light found an opportunity and killed Yi Qinxiu in one strike. Now that he heard Mo Yuan's words and connected the two, Jiang Chen seemed to have understood something. He muttered in his heart, what a deceitful descendant. Some gods, before ascending to the 9 clouds, would leave a part of their inheritance in their birthplace and establish a sect. There were also some gods who took great care of their descendants. They would leave their own imprints in the life inheritance of their descendants. In this way, the descendants of these gods could do some things for their ancestors. For example, they could summon the gods to appear, or they could ask for the gods' protection, or they could even obtain the gods' inheritance. As for people like Mo Yuan, they naturally belonged to the latter category. He was a direct descendant of Yi Qinxiu, and his body contained Yi Qinxiu's life imprint. He used Yi Qinxiu's name to make a blood oath. Yi Qinxiu, who was in the 9 heavens, naturally sensed it and agreed. In the end, Mo Yuan had tricked Yi Qinxiu. Mo Yuan was fined for violating the blood oath, but Yi Qinxiu, who had to bear the consequences of violating the blood oath, suffered a calamity. Yi Qinxiu's condition deteriorated overnight, and the Lord God of Light happened to find an opportunity to kill him. At this moment, Jiang Chen looked at Mo Yuan with a strange expression. He wondered if he should tell Mo Yuan about this. What if he can't accept it? Jiang Chen thought to himself. After thinking for a while, he decided not to say anything. Moreover, Mo Yuan wouldn't believe her even if she told others about it. After you made the blood oath, you violated it, didn't you? Jiang Chen asked. Yes, for one of my disciples, I left the sect and fought once, Mo Yuan said with a frown. However, Even though I violated the blood oath, I didn't suffer any backlash. Nonsense. The one who suffered the backlash was your ancestor, Yi Qinxiu, Jiangchen thought to himself. Having such a descendant was really bad luck. However, one day after I violated the blood oath, I suddenly heard an angry voice cursing me, saying that I was an unfilial descendant. It was really confusing, Mo Yuan said. Huh? Jiangchen opened his mouth and almost laughed out loud. That furious roar was probably transmitted down from the nine heavens when Yi Qinxiu fell. Yi Qinxiu was probably angry that he was wronged, and he felt so wrong that he couldn't say anything. Back to the topic. Jiang Chun said seriously, "It's not impossible for me to help you kill Lin Lang Wentian. However, I have no enmity with him, so why should I kill him? I'm not someone who kills indiscriminately. I heard from Mo Xingtian that you want to restore the Chuanzuan sect to its former glory. Since that's the case, there will definitely be a battle between you and the Martial Pavilion in the end." Mo Yuan said, "Since you're going to fight, if you win, you can take Lin Lang Wentian's head. Isn't this just a side benefit?" "That's true." Jiang Chen nodded. He suddenly felt that what Mo Yuan said made sense. If the Chuanzuan sect was restored to its former glory, then what was the Martial Pavilion? The Martial Pavilion definitely knew how glorious the Chuanzuan sect was, so they naturally wouldn't let the Chuanzuan sect rise again. In this way, the Chuanzuan sect and the Martial Pavilion were already standing on opposite sides after Jiang Chen's rebirth. "All right, I swear on my life that if I have the strength in the future, I'll kill Lin Lang Wentian for you." Jiang Chen swore. "Then, I'll leave this 9 Netherworld Phoenix to you. Fatten it up, fatten it up. When the time comes, if I need blood essence, you have to give it to me." Mo Yuan said, "Don't worry, blood essence is nothing to a 9 Netherworld Phoenix." Jiang Chen smiled. "The 9 Netherworld Phoenix in the blood pool has been fed with blood essence by your devil sect for so many years, but it's still alive. Other than its bald head, what else is there?" "All right then." Mo Yuan nodded. Then, Mo Yuan and Jiang Chun returned to the blood pool. Then, Mo Yuan formed a hand seal and released the shackles on the 9 Netherworld Phoenix. *CK. I'm finally born. In this life, I'm free to fly. Even the heavens can't control me. Once the 9 Netherworld Phoenix was born, it roared towards the sky and flapped its bald wings. It twisted its head and wagged its tail, looking very seductive. But soon, the 9 Netherworld Phoenix realized that something was wrong. It was because the way Jiang Chen looked at it was a little strange. It even saw Jiang Chen wiping his saliva. "What do you want to do?" The 9 Netherworld Phoenix glared. "Don't tell me. You want to eat me? Your feathers are all gone. At first glance, I thought you were a fat chicken," Jiang Chun said awkwardly. "Goodbye." Hearing this, the 9 Netherworld Phoenix's body trembled. It got up and flapped its featherless wings, wanting to run away. After all, it had nothing to do with Jiang Chen in this life. The contract in the previous life had already ended when Jiang Chen died. Now, as long as it ran away, Jiang Chen really couldn't do anything to it. Slap! However, just as the 9 Netherworld Phoenix rose into the air, it saw a palm as black as ink, like a stone tablet, slapping toward its face. This palm was so powerful that it almost smashed the 9 Netherworld Phoenix. "I've imprisoned you for so long. Why are you still so disobedient? I just let you out, and you want to run?" Mo Yuan raised his eyebrows. "Why don't you try running again?" "What the *CK? The 9 Netherworld Phoenix cursed and flapped its wings. It stared at Mo Yuan and asked, "What's your cultivation?" Chapter 92. Higher than you? Mo Yuan said softly. "Don't play any tricks. You haven't passed the 5 decay of heaven and man. You're just a stupid bird." "You have passed the 5 decay of heaven and man? Are you sure?" "There's actually a cultivator who passed the 5 decay of heaven and man in the Qingyan Town area." At this moment, Jiang Chun and 9 Nether Phoenix were stunned and confused. After passing the 5 decay of heaven and man, The next step was to become a god. Such a cultivator was already standing at the top of the pyramid in the godless continent. Although Jiang Chun had guessed Mo Yuan's cultivation before, he really didn't expect that the person in front of him was about to become a god. All right. Isn't it just about becoming a god? What's there to fuss about? Mo Yuan curled his lips. Take this featherless bird and leave quickly. Looking at it makes me annoyed. I have goosebumps all over my body. It's so ugly. Nine Nether Phoenix immediately exploded. It was furious, but it didn't dare to say anything. In the end, Jiangchen left with 9 Nether Phoenix and returned to the Chuanzuan sect. As soon as they returned, Jiang Lu, Bai Fengyu, and the others surrounded them and stared at 9 Nether Phoenix curiously. "Boss, where did you pick up this featherless chicken?" Jiang Lu wiped his saliva and said, "We're cultivators and don't eat grains. But it's not bad to stew a chicken occasionally." "It's so ugly. I've never seen such an ugly chicken," Bai Fengyu said with disdain. "It's called Little Yu," Jiang Chun said with a smile and didn't explain anything. In any case, the 9 Nether Phoenix's face was currently staring at Bai Fengyu lecherously. Wu Mu sent news that the Martial Pavilion in Solitary North City ordered you to go there and ask for forgiveness. Mo Xingtian walked over with a worried expression. "Oh, Duga Luching made his move so soon?" Jiang Chun frowned and shook his head. "Of course I have to go. After all, this is the Martial Pavilion's world now. But not now." "You really have to go? I'm afraid it's not going to be good," Mo Xingtian said solemnly. "Back then, you heavily injured Duga Luching and almost killed him. Would he let you go?" "Whether he is willing to let me go or not is not up to him." Jiangchen raised the corner of his mouth slightly and said, "Now in the area of Qingyun Town, my Chuanzuan sect is the dominant force. I should also leave. The area of Qingyun Town is remote and desolate, and there is a lack of cultivation resources. It is useless for Jiangchen to continue to stay. Moreover, the world was so big that he still had a lot of things to do. Moreover, the Chuanzuan sect was now stable. There were array masters, alchemists, and various guests in the sect. In the area of Qingyun Town, no one dared to touch the whole sect." "Where are you going?" Mo Xingtian asked. "Are you going to leave the reverent sect behind?" "Someone's in charge," Jiangchen whispered as he looked at Lu Qingchen, who was behind the crowd. Before Jiangchen was reborn, Lu Qingchen was the current sect master of the Chuanzuan sect. However, the Chuanzuan sect had already declined by the time he took over. Even the martial skills and cultivation methods in the Scripture Pavilion had been lost. Previously, Jiangchen was also angry, thinking that it was all Lu Qingchen's fault for the decline of the Chuanzuan sect. However, now that he thought about it, Lu Qingchen could still persist in the Chuanzuan sect with such a little foundation. He was quite capable. Moreover, Jiangchen could also see that Lu Qingchen was wholeheartedly thinking of the Chuanzuan sect. In that case, after leaving, the Chuanzuan sect would be handed over to Lu Qingchen to continue to be in charge. "When you come to the sect master's hall, I'll give you something," Jiangchen said to Lu Qingchen. He walked to his side and patted him on the shoulder. "Work hard. Don't let me down. You really plan to return the position of sect master to me?" Lu Qingchen was stunned and surprised. However, he shook his head and smiled wryly. "I'm afraid I can't control these people with my strength." There were currently a lot of Dao realm cultivators in the Chuanzuan sect. Pill refiners, formation masters, and all of them were proud and arrogant. How could they listen to an origin realm cultivator like Lu Qingchen? Lu Qingchen wanted to be the sect master, but he also understood that he couldn't afford to be the sect master with his strength. "If I say you can do it, you can do it," Jiangchen said. "I don't blame you for the Chuanzuan sect's decline. As long as you work hard in the future, manage this territory well, and wait for me to lead the Chuanzuan sect to rise again." Then, Jiangchen called a group of pill refiners and formation masters over and gathered them on a mountain peak. "I'm leaving soon. I'll have to rely on you to take care of the Chuanzuan sect from now on," Jiangchen said straightforwardly. Then, he took out 2 booklets that he had prepared and handed them to Tong Sang and Lu Shan. These two booklets record my understanding and understanding of Pill and Formation Tao. They're my personal letters. Take them and study them well, Jiangchen said. If you can comprehend 10 or 20% of them, you'll become a master in everyone's eyes. If you can comprehend 40 or 50% of them, you'll be ranked among the top on the godless continent. If you can comprehend 80 or 90% of them, you'll be the best pill refiner and formation master in the world. Everyone's eyes flashed with shock when they heard that. They really couldn't believe that Jiang Chen's letters were so miraculous. Then, Lu Shan and Tong Sang flipped through them first. When they saw what was recorded in them, shock and excitement immediately appeared on their faces. If you can comprehend everything recorded in here, you'll probably be comparable to divine King Tianqian back then, right? Unbelievable. His attainments in Pill and Formation Tao are actually so high. The two of them exclaimed. Although they had only skimmed through it and understood a little, they knew what was good for them. All right, disperse. Jiangchen waved his hand and said. After that, the crowd dispersed, except for Tong Sang and Lu Shan. Master, accepting your letters is equivalent to becoming your disciple. Do you think? Lu Shan rubbed his hands and asked tentatively. His eyes shone with desire. Tong Sang was the same. She had wanted to be Jiang Chen's disciple for a long time. You guys? You're not qualified. Jiang Chen smiled and said straightforwardly, if you want to become my disciple, you have to have talent and aptitude. If you can't surpass your peers and dominate the world, you'll be a disgrace to me. If you can achieve something and be remembered by the world, I'll accept you as my disciples, Jiang Chen said. When the two of them heard that, disappointment flashed across their eyes. However, they also understood that Jiang Chen was mysterious, extraordinary, and powerful. However, with their age and talent, they were somewhat unworthy of it. Master, it's a deal. If we're remembered by the world in the future, you'll have to accept us, Lu Shan said. All right, Jiang Chen nodded. But before that, if you go out to train, remember not to say that you're my disciple. I really don't want to embarrass myself. Master, aren't you afraid that you'll hurt us? Tong Sang smiled bitterly. However, she knew that Jiang Chen didn't mean any harm. He was just too straightforward. Chapter 93. Jiang Chen's words were very straightforward, and Lu Shan and Tong Sang almost fainted from the blow. Fortunately, these two old fellows were thick-skinned and could withstand it. It was just that their faces were slightly red. However, after thinking about it carefully, Lu Shan and Tong Sang felt better. This was because Jiang Chen had only accepted one disciple, and that was the Great Moon Holy Physique by Fengyu. And Bai Fengyu's talent was definitely at the top level. Therefore, they also understood that unless their talent was comparable to Bai Fengyu's, it would be better for them to wash up and sleep if they wanted to be Jiang Chen's disciple. After that, Jiang Chen left and came to the sect leader's hall. Lu Qingchen had been waiting here for a long time. When he saw Jiang Chen, his expression became strange as he asked, "What's the matter? Don't tell me you really intend to let me be the sect leader? Just do it." Jiang Chen said, "Don't talk about whether you can or not. If I say you can, then you can." After saying that, Jiang Chen pointed his finger at Lu Qingchen's glabella. In an instant, Lu Qingchen's eyes widened as he felt a large amount of information in his mind. After being stunned for a moment, Lu Qingchen came back to his senses. After sorting out the information, his expression suddenly became excited. What level of cultivation technique and martial technique is this? Lu Qingchen exclaimed. I just used my divine thoughts to impart the 3,000 flame soldiers' art and Tongtian God record to you. Cultivate well. If you cultivate both to the Mahayana stage, you can even ascend to the 9 heavens. Jiang Chen said as he patted Lu Qingchen's shoulder and said seriously, from now on, Chuanzuan sect will be handed over to you. Lu Qingchen opened his mouth, but did not know what to say. He was excited but also puzzled. He could not imagine what kind of secrets a trash young master who was expelled by the Jiang family of Qinchuan was hiding. From the god's decree to now, Everything that Jiang Chun had done could be said to be a miracle. Don't ask. Jiang Chun smiled and said, who doesn't have a secret, right? Yes. Lu Qingchen nodded and said solemnly, don't worry. As long as I'm still around, the reverend sect will be around. That's good. Jiang Chun said softly. Subsequently, Jiang Chun bade farewell to Bai Fengyu, Jiang Lu, and the rest, and left quietly by himself. No one knew where Jiang Chun went, but they all understood that there was no place in this world that a person like Jiang Chun could not go. Little fatty, where do you think Master is going? Bai Fengyu sat at the entrance of the mountain as a trace of loneliness flashed across his eyes. Jiang Chun had already left for half a day, but she had been sitting at the entrance of the mountain all this time. There was a trace of thought on her face, and there was a trace of unique emotion in her eyes. How would I know? Jiang Lu hurriedly shook his head. Although he looked simple and honest at this moment, he suddenly smiled playfully and asked, do you like boss? There's no such thing. Bai Fengyu's face turned red as she recalled the scene when Jiang Chun had helped her transform Serene. At that time, her body had been completely seen by Jiang Chun. In the end, that stinking brat, after seeing it, acted as if nothing had happened. Little fatty, am I ugly? Suddenly, Bai Fengyu asked very seriously. She stared at Jiang Lu and said, tell the truth. You're not allowed to lie. If you're ugly, then there aren't many good-looking people in this world. Jiang Lu rolled his eyes and said, forget it. If you like him, then go and chase him. With your methods in White Emperor City, how could you not find out where boss went? But Master doesn't allow us to follow him. Bai Fengyu said weakly, but a trace of craftiness flashed across her eyes. You won't go just because he doesn't allow you to? Jiang Lu said snappily, fine, if you don't want to go, then stay. Anyway, I'm going to find boss. At that time, at most, I'll be scolded a little. After saying that, Jiang Lu got up and walked out of the mountain gate. At this moment, Bai Fengyu was anxious. She stomped her feet on the ground and hurriedly chased after him. Didn't you say that you won't go? Jiang Lu smiled. Under his simple and honest smile, there was a hint of playfulness. Your cultivation is too low. If you go out alone, I'm worried about you. Bai Fengyu said, but in her heart, she was pondering where Jiang Chun would go. Should she use the power of White Emperor City to find Jiang Chun's traces? At this moment, Jiang Chun had already arrived at the Northern Bright Court alone. When Jiang Chun returned, he saw that the people of the Northern Bright Court were looking at him strangely. As he walked towards the inner court, Jiang Chun heard many words along the way. Among them, Elder Lu was punished by the disciplinary hall. In the end, he did not persevere and died in the disciplinary hall. There was also Bai Yi, who was related to Elder Lu. After Elder Lu died, he was expelled from the Northern Bright Court. What surprised Jiang Chun the most was that the dean of the Northern Bright Court had personally given the order to confer Jiang Chun as the Holy Son of the Northern Bright Court. After leaving for a period of time, my status in the Northern Bright Court has become so high. Jiang Chun chuckled. No wonder no one stopped him when he walked into the inner court. You are Jiang Chun? At this moment, a young man walked over and blocked Jiang Chun's path. A trace of arrogance flashed in his eyes. Spiritual energy burst out from his body, and the aura of the upper level of the Tao realm was revealed. That's me. Jiang Chun nodded and continued to walk forward, not wanting to bother with this person. However, the young man opened his arms horizontally and blocked Jiang Chun. He said coldly, the dean conferred you as the Holy Son. Many of the inner court disciples like us are not convinced. So what? If you are not convinced, go and find the dean. Jiang Chun said snappily, I already said that I want to be the Holy Son. Even if you let me be the dean of the small Northern Bright Court, I would despise it. Hey, you talk big. The young man's eyes darkened. Spiritual energy burst out from his arm, and he suddenly attacked. However, when his arm hit Jiang Chun's body, there was a muffled sound. It was as if he had hit a boulder. Jiang Chun did not move at all, but the young man's arm was numb from the impact. There was even a crack in his bones. A mantis trying to stop a chariot. Jiang Chun glanced at him from the corner of his eyes, and said mockingly, "You are only at the upper level of the Tao realm. So what if all your true qi has been converted into spiritual energy? I'm invincible as long as I stand here. Can you touch me?" When he said this, the young man's anger suddenly exploded. He was already dissatisfied with Jiang Qin's conferment of the Holy Sun. Now that he was being ridiculed by Jiang Qin, how could he let it go? At the same time, many people had gathered around. When they saw Jiang Qin and the young man fighting, they all had a mocking look on their faces. Isn't this the Holy Sun? He is actually fighting with the 10th disciple of the inner court, Lung Fengyun. Lung Fengyun. If it weren't for the fact that he is still young and has not cultivated for a long time, with his talent, it is very likely that he would be conferred as the Holy Son of the Northern Bright Court. There was an uproar all around. Some people even instigated, "Lung Fengyun, if you defeat Jiang Qin, the position of the Holy Sun will be yours." Chapter 94. I want to have a duel with you. At that moment, Lung Fengyun's face was solemn, and his eyes were filled with fighting spirit. He pointed at Jiang Qin and said coldly, "Go to the arena." "Do you think I'll go just because you say so? Do I not care about my reputation?" Jiang Qin curled his lips and said, "A good dog does not block the way. Please make way. You're courting death." Lung Fengyun was furious. He did not care about the rules of the inner court and attacked again on the spot. This time, Lung Fengyun's spiritual energy burst forth. He pushed his hands out, and his spiritual energy was like a wave. There were even flames swirling in the wave. Black class upper grade martial technique, flaming wave palm. This martial technique is extremely powerful. Only the top 10 disciples in the inner court are qualified to cultivate it. Many people around were envious, and they recognized Lung Fengyun's strength. However, in the next second, everyone was shocked. Jiang Qin raised his hand and waved it. It looked like an ordinary palm strike, but it shattered the wave in front of him. Even the flame was extinguished. Moreover, this palm did not reduce its momentum. It pushed forward and hit Lung Fengyun's body. Bang! Along with a dull sound, the protective spiritual energy on Lung Fengyun's body was shattered. Then, like a kite with a broken string, he flew out. "You're just at the upper position of the Tao realm. What are you doing?" Jiang Qin said with disdain. "Do you really think you're something?" After saying that, Jiang Qin ignored the shocked gazes of the crowd and Lung Fengyun's gloomy expression. He walked forward on his own. He was here today to look for the dean. He planned to go to the Sifang Divine Courtyard. Now that the martial pavilion of solitary North City was looking for trouble with him, Jiang Qin naturally had to find a backer. After thinking about it, only by becoming a disciple of the Sifang Divine Courtyard could he resolve this crisis. Otherwise, with Jiang Qin's current cultivation and the Chuanzhen sect's current foundation, there was no way they could stop the martial pavilion of solitary North City. There are rules in the inner court. Other than in the arena, no martial arts are allowed anywhere else. It was at this moment that another youngster came forward and stood in front of Jiang Qin to protect him. He carried a long staff on his back and had thick eyebrows and big eyes. When he spoke, there was a hint of arrogance. "Flame Demon Staff, Su Lai. Ninth in the inner yard, Su Lai." Cries of surprise rang out from all around. It seemed that no one had expected Su Lai to actually stand out. Everyone in the inner courtyard knew that Su Lai wouldn't make a move on normal days and would only focus on cultivating. But who would have thought that today, because of Jiang Qin, even this cultivation maniac would make a move? Scram! Jiang Qin's eyes turned cold. He had just entered the inner yard, and he had already been provoked one after another. Did he really think that he had no temper? "Since you've broken the rules of the inner yard, you'll have to go to the disciplinary hall to receive your punishment," Su Lai said. "Don't think that just because you're a holy son that you can ignore the rules of the inner yard." "Rules?" Jiang Qin said coldly. "Even the heavens can't restrain me. What are the rules of the Northern Ming Academy to me?" "You really are insolent," Su Lai shouted angrily. "Since you're not willing to go, then I'll take you there. If you want to fight, then just say it. Who are you trying to make up a bunch of excuses for?" Jiang Chen curled his lips and then stepped out. He raised his hand, and black and white light appeared on his body. In the next second, before Su Lai could react, a patch of black and white light rushed towards him. The light of the blade and the shadow of the sword followed him like a shadow. The light of the sword even tore through the air like a streak of flowing light. The light of the sword flashed by, black and white intersected, and a muffled sound rang out. "You don't even have the right to fight me," Jiang Chen said softly. He was already standing behind Su Lai at some point. Su Lai's entire body was trembling at this moment. His eyes were filled with shock as he lowered his head to look at his chest. There was a bloody hole there. It was neither deep nor shallow, and was only 3 inches away from his heart. If it had been 3 inches, he would have lost his life. "Impossible. You're only in the origin realm. How is this possible?" After a few breaths, Su Lai went berserk and roared madly. He couldn't believe that he couldn't block the attack of an upper-level origin realm cultivator with his cultivation of the upper-level Dao realm. Moreover, it was the kind of instant kill. In fact, he knew very well that if Jiang Chen hadn't shown mercy, he would have died when the black and white light of the sword rushed over. What's impossible about it? Jiang Chen didn't even look back as he continued forward. He said lightly, "There's nothing impossible in this world. There's only people who don't believe it." Jiang Chen, don't think that you can do whatever you want in Northern Ming Hall just because you're a holy son. However, before Jiang Chen could take a few steps, an old man landed in front of him. His expression was stern, and a trace of anger flashed through his eyes. In fact, there was even a trace of killing intent in the depths of his eyes. This made Jiang Chen very puzzled. He didn't know this old man. Why would the other party want to kill him? Could it be that he was a remnant of Qingyun Town's hidden pavilion? There's a good show to watch now. Elder Lu's old friend, the third elder of the Hall of Punishments, Jing Han. When the crowd saw Jing Han appear, their expressions turned strange. Many people knew that Elder Lu and Jing Han were very close when they were alive. The two of them called each other brothers. But in the end, Elder Lu died because of Jiang Chen. He died in the Hall of Punishments in front of Jing Han. Now that Jing Han had appeared, the crowd didn't even need to think to know that he was here to avenge Elder Lu. Of course, with Jiang Chen's current status, Jing Han naturally didn't dare to kill Jiang Chen. But he still dared to teach him a lesson and humiliate him. "So you're Elder Lu's good friend?" Jiang Chen was relieved. No one of the other party wanted to kill him. But so what? "Return to the Hall of Punishments with me to receive your punishment," Jing Han said coldly. "Who do you think you are?" Jiang Chen said softly. True qi exploded from his body, and a cloud of blood qi appeared on the surface of his body. Impudent! When Jing Han heard this, he was even more furious. He formed a seal with both of his hands, and green vines appeared out of thin air beside him. The vines flew over, stirring up a cloud of dust as they pierced through the air. After the vines appeared, Jing Han formed another seal. The ground beneath Jiang Chen's feet trembled, and earth spikes shot out from the ground. "Arcane Master?" Jiang Chen was surprised. He didn't expect to meet an Arcane Master here. After breaking through to the Dao realm, Arcane Masters focused on cultivating their mental strength. They could sense the elements of heaven and earth and use various Dao skills. Once an Arcane Master made a move, they would be extremely powerful. But Jiang Chen was only surprised. He could defeat a Martial Master and kill a Dark Master. Now that he was facing an Arcane Master, it was naturally no problem. Moreover, Arcane Masters focused on cultivating their mental strength and were weak in close combat. Jiang Chen's close combat ability was heaven-defying. Boom! Immediately, Jiang Chen took a step forward. His body flickered with a layer of sparkling light. A pair of flaming wings appeared behind his back. With a flap, he shattered the incoming vines. Then, true qi gathered at the soles of Jiang Chen's feet and transformed into ripples. When his foot landed, the earth spikes were completely shattered. Chapter 95. Breath technique. Seeing this, Jing Han formed another seal. Spiritual power gathered in his mouth, and his mental energy appeared above his head like a green lamp. Roar! With a roar that sounded like a tiger's, Jing Han opened his mouth and spat out a sea of flames. Then he formed another seal and combined his spiritual energy with his spiritual energy. Frost spikes appeared around him. If you don't get close, it'll be troublesome. You'll just be taking a beating. Jiang Chen frowned. It was a headache to face an arcane master. Fortunately, Jiang Chen had many tricks up his sleeve. His true energy split and combined with his blood energy, forming numerous doppelgangers. At the same time, his main body was hidden among the doppelgangers. Starlight shone under his feet as he stepped like the Big Dipper and avoided the frost spikes. 3 breaths later, Jiang Chen arrived in front of Jing Han and punched out. His fist was as bright as the sun and shattered one of the flames. Before Jing Han could react, Jiang Chen's hand reached out like an eagle's claw and grabbed Jing Han's neck. "Are you courting death?" Jiang Chen said coldly. "Don't think you can bully me just because you've surpassed the Tao realm." "You?" Jing Han was shocked. He couldn't imagine how an Origin Realm cultivator could do this. One had to know that ordinary Origin Realm cultivators, even Tao Realm cultivators, would have to kneel before his Tao technique. In fact, even if Jing Han did not use any Tao techniques, his cultivation alone could suppress any Origin Realm cultivator or even Tao Realm cultivators. "You're just the 3rd elder of the disciplinary hall," Jiang Chen said coldly. "I'm the holy son of the Northern Light Hall. What I do represents the Northern Light Hall. Why do you have to control me? Since I'm an elder of the disciplinary hall, I have to control you," Jing Han said in a low voice, but he didn't dare to make a move. After all, his life was still in Jiang Chen's hands. If he dared to make a move, he wasn't sure if Jiang Chen would really kill him. "Do you think you can control me?" Jiang Chen said disdainfully. He exerted some force in his palm, and his jinshi spread out. The crowd could only hear a crisp sound coming from Jing Han's neck. That was the sound of a neck bone breaking. At this moment, the crowd was shocked. They could not believe that Jiang Chen would dare to attack Jing Han. "Jiang Chen, forget it." At this moment, an old man with white hair and a ruddy complexion suddenly appeared beside Jiang Chen, holding a bronze walking stick. With a kind smile on his face, he patted Jiang Chen's shoulder. In an instant, the true qi in Jiang Chen's body seemed to have been sealed and disappeared without a trace. Jiang Chen was shocked. He had sealed his true qi with just a lift of his hand. This method was not something an ordinary person could do. Even cultivators who had surpassed the Tao realm would find it difficult to do so. However, Jiang Chen was not bothered because the old man did not have any killing intent towards him. Lung Fengyan attacked first, and then Su Lai. "I merely retaliated," Jiang Chen said. "If you want to be convicted, I don't think it's my turn to be convicted, right?" "It's up to you," the old man said with a smile. He glanced at Jing Han and said, "Go to the disciplinary hall and receive your punishment." "Yes, Grand Elder." Jing Han nodded hurriedly. He was no longer as stubborn as before. That was because the old man with white hair and a ruddy complexion was the Grand Elder of the Northern Ming Hall. Moreover, he was a sealing master. "Come with me," the Grand Elder said softly. Then, he released Jiang Chen's seal and brought him to a back mountain in the inner hall. When they arrived, Jiang Chen saw a middle-aged man wearing shabby clothes. However, the aura he exuded was extremely terrifying. In fact, there was a hint of violence in his aura. "Mad Master?" Jiang Chen's eyes widened. He did not expect to see a rare professional Mad Master here. Mad Masters were the same as martial masters. They cultivated martial arts through martial arts. However, it was very difficult to become a Mad Master. Not only did they have to cultivate martial arts, but they also had to have mad blood in their bodies. Mad blood was something that only 1 in 10,000 people had. Those who had mad blood would go berserk once they attacked. Their power was far beyond that of martial masters. Although martial masters and mad masters were both martial artists, if the two of them fought, 10 martial masters would not be able to defeat one mad master. There's actually a mad master in a small place like the Northern Ming Hall, and there's also a sealing master, Jiang Qin thought to himself. He looked at the Grand Elder curiously. These two professions were rare in the world, but they appeared in the Northern Ming Hall at the same time. Could it be that there were hidden dragons and crouching tigers in such a remote place? This is the dean of the Northern Ming Hall, Madman Xiao. The Grand Elder pointed at the middle-aged man and said, "We've been waiting for you for a long time. I came back this time to find you." Jiang Qin said, "Long story short, I need protection." As soon as he said this, Kuang Ren nodded and said, "I know what you've done. The Martial Pavilion of Solitary North City is planning to attack you." "Can the Northern Ming Hall protect me?" Jiang Qin asked. "No." Madman Xiao shook his head and said, "The Martial Pavilion is the #1 force in the world. All the major sects and even the academies have to listen to the arrangements of the Martial Pavilion. Unless the Quadrangle Divine Hall appears, it can only be resolved." However, the Quadrangle Divine Hall was far away. By the time Jiang Qin reached the Quadrangle Divine Hall, it would be too late. Besides, he had to pass by Solitary North City to reach the Quadrangle Divine Hall. By then, Jiang Qin would probably be killed by the Martial Pavilion before he could reach the Quadrangle Divine Hall. Then, I'm hopeless? Jiang Qin frowned, feeling very upset. Since when did Jiang Qin need to worry about the Martial Pavilion? Back then, Jiang Qin could do whatever he wanted in the entire godless continent. Now, a mere Martial Pavilion of Solitary North City was enough to put Jiang Qin in danger. "Since you're a disciple of the Northern Ming Hall, we'll naturally help you think of a way," Madman Xiao said. "The Martial Pavilion is in charge of all the sects, families, academies, and even some inherited forces. They all have to listen to the Martial Pavilion. However, there's one force that the Martial Pavilion doesn't dare to interfere," Madman Xiao said. When Jiang Qin heard this, he couldn't help but be curious. In this world, other than the Elixir Pavilion, the Array Pavilion, and those special forces, what other force could contend with the Martial Pavilion? Elixir Pavilion or Array Pavilion? Jiang Qin frowned. The Elixir Pavilion and Array Pavilion never compete with the Martial Pavilion. They don't have the time to protect me. The Demon Hunter Union, Madman Xiao said. The Demon Hunter Union is spread throughout the entire godless continent. There are dragons and snakes mixed in the Union, and none of them do things according to the rules. Even the Martial Pavilion doesn't dare to provoke the Demon Hunter Union. When Jiang Qin heard this, he couldn't help but wipe the cold sweat on his forehead. Jiang Qin naturally knew about the Demon Hunter Union. However, 3,000 years ago, the Demon Hunter Union wasn't that strong. He didn't expect that in 3,000 years, the Demon Hunter Union was strong enough to contend with the Martial Pavilion. However, the Demon Hunter Union was just as Madman Xiao said. There were dragons and snakes mixed in, and there weren't many good people inside. Chapter 96. You want me to join the Monster Hunters Guild? Jiang Qin frowned. I'm such an upright person with the kindest heart in the world. How can I mix with those dragons and snakes in the Monster Hunters Guild? However, before Jiang Qin could speak, the Grand Elder next to him put on a weird expression. He couldn't help but interrupt him. Enough. You're so kind-hearted. The 3 great sects and schools were eliminated by you. I was forced to do that, Jiang Qin muttered. This is the letter of recommendation. Madman laughed and said, the nearest Demon Hunters Union is in Solitary North City. You can join the Demon Hunters Union with a recommendation letter. So simple? Jiang Qin was stunned. He thought that this matter would be very complicated. He never thought that crazy person had already arranged everything for him. Since that was the case, what was he waiting for? Let's go. Pay attention to your image when you go to the Monster Hunters Guild. The Great Elder reminded him. One is marked by the company one keeps. Yes, I will keep myself clean. I will never associate with them, Jiang Qin said seriously. However, just as he finished speaking, crazy person shook his head. What we mean is, Don't lead the people in the Monster Hunters Guild astray. I. Jiang Chun was dumbfounded. His heart was in a mess. He blinked and thought to himself, so I'm so bad? Right? The featherless chicken outside the mountain gate is yours, right? At this moment, the great elder's eyes flashed. That chicken is not bad. It can speak human language. It should have gained intelligence. If it can be made into a pot of soup or refined into a cauldron of pills, it would be a great supplement. Great Elder Dean, goodbye. Jiang Chun hurriedly cupped his hands and ran away. What kind of joke was this? It was not easy to release the 9 Netherworld Phoenix. It had not even fattened yet, and they were going to stew it and refine it into pills? Wasn't this nonsense? Holding the recommendation letter, Jiang Chun hurriedly left. After walking out of the northern main court, he happened to see the 9 Nether Phoenix proudly standing with its bald head, looking at some of the female disciples of the northern main court lustfully. Can't you just stay in Xuanzuan's sect? Why do you have to come out and embarrass yourself? Jiang Chun said angrily. Do you know how ugly you look now? You still have the nerve to say that? Blood essence that has been drained for 1,000 years. Why don't you try? If you don't lose your hair, I'll take your surname. The 9 Netherworld Phoenix said in annoyance. It touched its hairless head with its bare wings and sighed. Sigh, life is just like losing your hair. There's nothing you could do other than say, damn it. That's enough. Hurry up and leave. If you don't leave, the next sealing master, a mad master, will come and catch you. Jiang Chun said. As soon as he said this, the 9 Netherworld Phoenix shuddered and ran away. After all, it had been drained of its blood essence for 1,000 years, and its strength had been greatly reduced. Its current cultivation had already fallen to the Tao realm. If it encountered a mad master or a sealing master who had surpassed the Tao realm, it wouldn't have any room to resist. After that, Jiang Chun sat on the 9 Netherworld Phoenix and narrowed his eyes, thinking about the future. The 9 Netherworld Phoenix flapped its featherless wings and flew unsteadily. It wanted to cry, but had no tears. I have no feathers. I can't fly anymore. The 9 Netherworld Phoenix shouted. If my old lover saw me like this, how embarrassing would it be? Little you, after I go to solitary North City, I will join the Demon Hunter Union. Jiang Chun said and patted the 9 Netherworld Phoenix's head. You find a place to hide and recover your cultivation first. Damn it, Demon Hunter Union? Are you playing with me? Hearing this, the 9 Netherworld Phoenix trembled and almost fell from the sky. Other than the human race, all living things in the world were demons. For example, the 9 Netherworld Phoenix was also a type of demon. However, with the 9 Netherworld Phoenix's current cultivation, if it was seen by those demon hunters, it would be hunted down and killed. So, you can't follow me. Jiang Chun said, not far from solitary North City, there is a Tianyuan forest. You can go there. Nonsense. Do you think I can follow you to the Demon Hunter Union? Isn't that suicide? The 9 Netherworld Phoenix said unhappily. If there is anything, I will inform you through voice transmission. Jiang Chun said. The 9 Netherworld Phoenix's heart tightened when it heard this. It suddenly felt that something was wrong. Its body shook, trying to shake Jiang Chun off its body. However, the 9 Netherworld Phoenix was still one step too slow. Contract. Condense. At this moment, Jiang Chun formed a seal with both hands. A seal condensed and pressed on the 9 Netherworld Phoenix's head. F*CK. The 9 Netherworld Phoenix cursed. It was caught off guard and was branded with a contract by Jiang Chun again. Now, it had become Jiang Chun's mount again. One had to know that after Jiang Chun was reborn, the contract between him and the 9 Netherworld Phoenix had been broken with the fall of his previous life. Originally, the 9 Netherworld Phoenix was free. However, this guy seemed to have forgotten and actually dared to come to Jiang Chun. Now the contract was set again. I was wondering, how could you send me a voice transmission from 1,000 miles away? The 9 Netherworld Phoenix's face darkened. When it heard the words voice transmission from 1,000 miles away, the 9 Netherworld Phoenix reacted. Without the contract, with Jiang Chun's cultivation, It was impossible for him to send a voice transmission from 1,000 miles away. It could only be done with a contract. However, by the time the 9 Netherworld Phoenix reacted, it was already too late. This is called fate. Jiang Chen smiled and said, "Be obedient from now on. I'll take you to eat good food and drink good wine. I'll take you to flirt with beauties from various races. Forget about eating good food and drinking good wine. As for beauties from various races, I can consider it." A hint of lust flashed in the 9 Netherworld Phoenix's eyes, and it licked its lips. "How many years has it been since I last touched a girl?" Half a day later, 3 miles away from solitary North City, the 9 Netherworld Phoenix landed and entered Tianyuan Forest. Jiang Chun, on the other hand, was walking towards the North Solitary City. However, before he entered Solitary North City, he felt that something was wrong. This was because the road to Solitary North City was originally filled with people. However, there was no one there now. "Martial Pavilion? Have you been waiting for me for a long time?" Jiang Chen stopped and looked around. He said coldly, "You asked me to come to the Martial Pavilion to ask for forgiveness. I haven't even reached the Martial Pavilion, and you can't wait anymore? Brat, you really dare to come." In the next second, figures flashed and walked out from the trees on both sides of the road. The person leading them was Duga Lucheng. "Why wouldn't I dare?" Jiang Chen curled his lips. "You're just a loser. Who gave you the courage to come and kill me?" Duga Lucheng snorted. He was still brooding over the fact that he was defeated by Jiang Chen. To him, that was a humiliation. However, today, Duga Lucheng did not think that Jiang Chen could defeat him again. "You don't have to go to the Martial Pavilion anymore," Duga Lucheng said coldly. His eyes were filled with murderous intent. "This road to Solitary North City will be your burial ground." Chapter 97. "With just you guys?" Jiang Chan said disdainfully. He looked at Duga Lucheng and the others, feeling a little nervous. There were 6 of them. Other than Duga Lucheng, there was a sword master, a formation master, and 3 dark masters. If the 6 of them worked together, Jiang Chun would be severely injured even if he did not die. "Kill him!" Duga Lucheng roared. He waved his hand, and the 3 dark masters disappeared into thin air. The formation master made a madra with his hands and struck the ground with his palm. A tactical formation was formed in an instant. A dreadful pressure filled the air. It was so heavy that even Jiang Chun had to bend over a little under the pressure. Then the swordsman came over with his sword. Before he even arrived, the sharp radiance of his sword was already as cold as frost. It shot towards Jiang Chun. In the end, Duga Lucheng stepped in the air and arrived above Jiang Chen's head. He slammed his palm down on Jiang Chun like a mountain tablet. 6 cultivators who had surpassed the martial path worked together to kill Jiang Chun. If it were anyone else, they would be proud even if they died. However, Jiang Chun did not think so. He had once been invincible when he traveled the world. What kind of dangerous situation had he not encountered? He had even fought against 36 sovereigns all by himself. Now, how could a mere 6 masters do anything to him? Of course, Jiang Chen knew he definitely wouldn't be a match for him. However, with just these 6 people, they wanted to take his life? Were they looking down on him? Forbidden skill? Nirvana circle? At the critical moment, Jiang Chen's body shone brightly. His true chi was like a silkworm cocoon, protecting him in the middle. Boom! Boom! With a series of explosions, all the attacks fell, but they were all blocked by the cocoon outside of Jiang Chen's body. This scene caused Duga Lucheng and the others to be incomparably shocked. The attacks of 6 masters could not do anything to an Origin Realm cultivator. Were they too weak, or was Jiang Chen too strong? However, Duga Lucheng quickly noticed that something was wrong with Jiang Chen. At this moment, although Jiang Chen's eyes were open and he was standing in the same spot, his entire person seemed to have died, and he was completely motionless. Like a statue, his entire body emitted divine light, as if he was carved out of diamond. Dead? What kind of martial skill is this? Forbidden technique? The group of people was in disarray, and once again launched an attack. However, the attack did not hurt Jiang Chen at all. As for Jiang Chen, he was still standing on the same spot, not moving at all. It was as if he had transformed into an indelible statue. There are many people coming and going on the official road leading to solitary North City. Even if you temporarily block the way, it won't be long before people come over. Jiang Chen thought to himself, when we get there, let's see if your martial pavilion wants to maintain their reputation or kill me in front of so many people at all costs. First Elder, the official road won't be blocked for long. Shall we retreat first? Yeah, this kid seems to have died and turned into a statue. I don't think he'll survive. The others did not want to continue fighting. After all, the martial pavilion was the representative of the godless continent. The martial pavilion symbolized order, stability, and everything good. If others saw them bullying Jiang Chen, an Origin Realm cultivator, the martial pavilion would become a laughingstock even if Jiang Chen was guilty. Even worse, they would lose face. Moreover, the martial pavilion in solitary North City was not the martial pavilion's headquarters. They did not have the highest authority here. They could block the official road for a while, but they could not block it forever. Is he really dead? Dugu Luqing frowned and walked in front of Jiang Chen, only to find that Jiang Chen was still motionless, his face expressionless. Even his life aura had disappeared. Let's go. After a few breaths, Dugu Luqing sensed that someone was coming. He shouted softly and left with his men. Not long after they left, the Forbidden Art's power disappeared, and Jiang Chen came back to life. The Forbidden Art, Nirvana Sphere, sacrificed one's mobility to temporarily maintain an invincible state. However, this state, to put it bluntly, was just being beaten up. Jiang Chen would not have used such a cowardly forbidden art unless he had no other choice. The next time we meet, I'll tear down your martial pavilion. Jiang Chen's eyes narrowed as he looked in the direction of solitary North City. A cold light flashed in his eyes. Jiang Chen did not immediately head to solitary North City. Instead, he waited for a while on the road and entered the city with a few passers-by. After all, the martial pavilion had people by their side, and they wanted to maintain their reputation. Naturally, they would not dare to attack Jiang Chen. Moreover, the martial pavilion had sent Jiang Chen to solitary North City to beg for forgiveness. It was just a punishment. As for killing Jiang Chen, this was completely Dugu Luqing's personal idea. Half an incense stick of time later, Jiang Chen entered solitary North City. Looking at solitary North City that was several times more prosperous than Qingyan Town, Jiang Chen could not help but sigh in his heart. The imperial court of the Central Continent, the underwater palace of the Western Garden of the North Sea, the Luotian Temple at the end of the South Continent. Jiang Chen had been to all these places. Which one of them was not more prosperous than solitary North City? And now, Jiang Chen saw the prosperity of solitary North City and actually felt like a lifetime had passed. Sigh. This kind of prosperity disturbs my mind. It seems that after staying in the Qingyan Town area for a long time, I'm really not used to the bustle. Jiang Chen said softly. On the streets, people came and went, and there were even cultivators flying in the air. On both sides of the street, there were restaurants, inns, auction houses, and even street stalls. In solitary North City, Dao Realm cultivators were very common, and cultivators beyond the Dao Realm could also be seen. After asking someone to inquire about the location of the Demon Hunters Union, Jiang Chen moved forward. Solitary North City was very large, covering an area of thousands of miles. And this Demon Hunters Union was in the south of solitary North City, close to the Martial Pavilion. When Jiang Chen came to the gate of the Demon Hunters Union, he found that there were people fighting here. Through the crowd of onlookers, Jiang Chen saw a man in tattered clothes with a beast bone hanging on his waist, fighting fiercely with a man in the robe of the Martial Pavilion. The Demon Hunters Union and the Martial Pavilion are really sworn enemies. They fight every day. Isn't that so? The Demon Hunters Union is lawless and doesn't abide by the rules of order. And the Martial Pavilion strictly guards the order. How can there be peace when the two collide? Listening to the voices around, Jiangchen couldn't help but smile. It seemed that coming to the Demon Hunters Union was right. Jiangchen even thought that in today's godless continent, only the Demon Hunters Union dared to fight with the Martial Pavilion so openly. Of course, it didn't mean that on the godless continent, other than the Martial Pavilion and the Demon Hunters Union, there were no other forces that could compete with them. It was just that those forces didn't want to make a move and thought that there was no need to go against the Martial Pavilion. After watching the battle for a while, the battle ended. The person from the Demon Hunters Union was defeated and was carried into the Union. And the person from the Martial Pavilion arrogantly glanced at the group of people from the Demon Hunters Union, then turned and entered a palace next to the Demon Hunters Union. Chapter 98. On one side is the Monster Hunters Union, and next door is the Martial Pavilion. Enemies are bound to meet. Jiangchen muttered as he entered the Monster Hunters Union. As soon as he entered the Monster Hunters Union, Jiangchen was shocked by the scene in front of him. Inside the huge palace, the smell of alcohol filled the air, and the sound of shouting filled the sky. The air was filled with a foul stench. In some corners, there were also demonic beasts, corpses, and demonic beasts' inner cores. One sky snow deer. Who wants it? 10 high-grade spirit stones will do. If you give it to a girl, you'll definitely get one. One portion of fire blood can refine the body and strengthen the body. 3 high-grade spirit stones. It was like a market, and Jiangchen was stunned for a moment. Little brother, are you here to buy monsters? At this moment, an old man with sparse hair and a mouth full of yellow teeth walked over and asked with a smile, I'm here to apply to join the Monster Hunters Union. Jiangchen said directly. As soon as he said this, the old man was stunned for a moment. After sizing up Jiangchen, he shook his head and said, Little brother, you're young and dressed decently. What can't you figure out that you want to join the Monster Hunters Union? This? Jiangchen was speechless. Could it be that he couldn't join the Monster Hunters Union just because he had good conditions? Could it be that the Monster Hunters Union was the beggar sect? Only those who were dressed in rags could join? Monster hunters have to deal with monsters every few days. If you're lucky, you can come back alive and catch a few monsters. You can earn a lot and live a carefree life for a few days. If you're unlucky, you won't be able to come back alive. The old man sighed and said, People like us are all fugitives. We have nowhere to go and nowhere to stay, so we can only come to the Monster Hunters Union. From what I can see, the cultivation bases of the people here are quite good. Can't they join a sect, or become a consecrator, or a guest of a clan? Jiangchen asked. It doesn't matter if it's a sect or a family. Once you enter, you have to abide by the rules. That means you have no freedom, and it's more like you're living under someone else's roof. You have to listen to someone else for everything. How can it compare to the freedom of the Demon Hunters Association? The old man smiled. In short, there are good and bad things in the Demon Hunters Association, but I don't think it suits you. Freedom? No need to follow the rules? I think it suits me. Jiangchen laughed. He then took out the recommendation letter from the madman and asked, Who's in charge here? I have a letter of recommendation. Oh, recommendation letter? The old man was surprised. After all, ordinary people only needed to apply to enter the Monster Hunters Association. It was very simple. Unless there were some special people who needed to be recommended when entering the Guild of Hunters. Headmaster of the Northern Ming Academy, recommended by Madman's Laughters. At this moment, the old man took the letter of recommendation and looked at it. His eyes flashed with a trace of shock. In fact, many of the people in the surroundings couldn't help but show a hint of respect when they heard the name Crazy Laughter. Wait a moment. I'll go and inform the president of this place. The old man said, and left in a hurry with a letter of recommendation. Little brother, what's your relationship with Madman's Laughter? Fellow cultivator, did Madman's Laughter recommend you? Do you know where Madman's Laughter is? At this moment, many people gathered around and asked about Madman's Laughter. Jiangchen was confused. What was the relationship between Madman's Laughter and the Monster Hunters Association? It seemed that Madman's Laughter was very famous in the Monster Hunters Association. It's nothing. Jiangchen laughed. He's now the headmaster of the Northern Ming Academy. That's Brother Kwong for you. He's already the headmaster. Sigh. When Brother Kwong led us to hunt demonic beasts, we made a lot of money and enjoyed ourselves every night. Those days were really good. A hubbub sounded. Many people were sighing, and some were reminiscing. Oh, Madman's laughter used to be in the Monster Hunters Association? Jiang Chun was surprised. A monster hunter was now the headmaster of the Northern Ming Academy. This was amazing. The president agreed. Not long after, the old man returned with a white token with the word monster carved on it and handed it to Jiang Chun. Monster Whitey token? He's an elder, right, after entering the Monster Hunters Association? At this moment, everyone cried out in alarm, feeling surprised. Every member of the Demon Hunters Union would have a token that symbolized their identity. Most people had a green token, which was considered an ordinary status in the Guild of Demon Hunters. Above the green token was the Monster Whitey token, which represented the status of an elder. Jiang Chun, a practitioner of the Origin Realm, had become an elder as soon as he had joined the Monster Hunters Association. This was unprecedented. What's going on? Even if he has Madman's Laughter's recommendation, he can't do this. Can he? He's just a brat, and he wants to be an elder? Who would listen to him? Some people were unconvinced and began to clamor. Some even walked up to Jiang Chun and poked Jiang Chen's chest, saying coldly, "Kid, it's the president's business if he wants you to be an elder. But if you dare use your status as an elder to order us to do things for you, don't even think about it. If you make me unhappy, I'll destroy you." Jiang Chen couldn't help but smile wryly when he heard these words. The people of the Monster Hunters Association were truly evil. They even dared to destroy their own elders. Of course, this also had something to do with Jiang Chen's cultivation. If Jiang Chen's cultivation was high enough, no one would say such things even if he became an elder, no matter how young he was. Don't worry, I'll just be staying at the Monster Hunters Association for a while. I won't provoke you. Jiang Chen smiled, not minding their words at all. After all, compared to those who didn't mean what they said and pretended to be kind, Jiang Chun preferred those who showed their evil on the surface. At least these people were honest enough. Do I need to do anything next? Jiang Chun looked at the old man in confusion. You don't need to do anything. The old man shook his head. The Monster Hunters Association is very free. You just need to hand over a Monster Beast core every month. And if I can't? Jiang Chun asked. If I can't, then I won't. The old man curled his lips. There's a lot of freedom here. No one's forcing you to hunt monsters, but if you want to live a more carefree life, then work harder. All right. Jiang Chen nodded and asked a few more questions before walking towards the rear courtyard of the Monster Hunters Association. As an elder, he had his own residence in the Monster Hunters Association. However, when he arrived at the rear courtyard and found his residence, he opened the door. The scene in front of him instantly made his face turn red. It was very messy. All he saw was a huge bathtub in his room. White steam was rising from the bathtub. Most importantly, there was a woman with a voluptuous figure bathing in the bathtub. I'm sorry, but this is my room. Jiang Chun came to himself. Pointing outside, he said, "Can you please leave?" Chapter 99. At this moment, the woman who was bathing was dumbfounded. She had been taking a shower, but Jiang Chen had barged in. Not only did he see her naked, he did not even apologize and asked her to leave. "You? Are you sure?" "Pervert." After being stunned for a moment, the woman reacted. With a wave of her hand, a fiery red long robe was draped over her body. Then, she took out a flute and placed it on her red lips. The sound of the flute could be heard. However, before the sound of the flute could be heard, Jiang Chun rushed over and snatched the flute away like an eagle's claw. "Beast tamer? You want to summon a beast in front of me?" Jiang Chun squinted. "It's fine that you're bathing in my room, but what about it? Do you want to attack me? Are you being reasonable?" "I am reasonable." The woman's face was red, and she was speechless. "Reasonable? What is reasonable?" The woman only knew that Jiang Chun had seen her naked. Furthermore, he didn't even say a word of apology after seeing everything. Most importantly, the long robe she was wearing could not cover her body, and Jiang Chun had seen her naked from the beginning. "I'm going to kill you," the woman roared with a cold expression. Her eyes were filled with murderous intent. "Stop fooling around." Jiang Chun curled his lips and grabbed her wrist. His left hand formed a seal and sealed the woman's cultivation. Then, Jiang Chun carried the woman out of the room like a chicken. Bang! At the last step, Jiang Chun closed the door and threw the woman outside. At this moment, the woman was extremely confused. Her mind was in a mess, and she had yet to recover from the shock. "What happened?" "I was bathing. Then he barged in and saw everything. Now, I was thrown out before I put on my clothes." He didn't apologize either. Standing outside the door, the woman sorted out her thoughts, and the anger in her heart surged. "Just you wait. No one in the Monster Hunters Union dares to treat me like this," the woman roared angrily. However, when she realized that her clothes were exposed, she blushed and left in a hurry. As for Jiang Chun, he was sitting in his room with a puzzled expression. This room was originally empty. After he became an elder, this room was assigned to him. Then, who was the person bathing in his room? Boom! Just as Jiang Chun was puzzled, the door of the room was kicked open. Jiang Chun raised his head and looked out of the gate. He happened to see a giant hoof stepping on the broken gate. Fiery bull? Jiang Chun looked at the owner of the cow's hoof. Its body was covered in flames like a small mountain. Its entire body was covered in bright red patterns, and thick black smoke was rising from its horns. The inner core of the fiery beast. "Bastard, prepare to die." Suddenly, the woman from before rushed in, and even the raging flame bull moved. His huge body squeezed through the room, and the flames on his body set Jiang Chun's room ablaze. "It's one thing for you to take a bath in my room, but now you brought a raging flame bull to burn my room." Jiang Chun was furious. "Today, if you don't give me an explanation, believe it or not, I will suppress you." "Give me an explanation? Who's going to give who an explanation?" The woman was furious. She was clearly the one who had suffered a loss, but in the end, Jiang Chun still acted as if he was in the right. Moo! In the next moment, accompanied by the roar of a bull, a flame spewed out from the raging flame bull. The raging flames were like pillars, drowning Jiang Chun in an instant. It's not some Chilan flame or heavenly flame. It's just the flame of a raging flame bull? And you want to burn me to death? Under the raging flames, Jiang Chun's voice floated out, as light as a feather. Boom! Immediately, the true energy in Jiang Chun's body exploded, and his body flickered with divine light, directly dispersing the raging flames that enveloped his body. When the flames disappeared, the woman suddenly screamed, "You, this hooligan, why aren't you wearing clothes?" The woman's face was flushed red. Hearing this, Jiang Chun said snappily, "My clothes were burned by your raging flame bull. Now that you've finished reading me, we're even." After saying that, Jiang Chun frowned, feeling that he had said something wrong, and could not help but add, "The clothes were burned. You have to pay for it." At this moment, the woman could no longer hold it in. The blood in her heart churned, and she spat out a mouthful of blood. She was so angry that her whole body trembled. She pointed at Jiang Chun and gritted her teeth, but she did not know what to say. "Yihan, what are you doing? With such a big commotion, are you going to burn down the Demon Hunters Union?" At this moment, a middle-aged man walked in. With a raise of his hand, a layer of frost appeared and extinguished the raging flames in the room. Then, with a wave of his hand, he slapped the raging flame bull out of the room. "Father, you've come at the right time." Hearing this, Yihan's face was filled with grievance. She shook the middle-aged man's arm and said, "This thief, not only did he peek at me bathing, he was also unreasonable. Now he's acting like a hooligan in front of me. He's not even wearing clothes." Oh! When the middle-aged man heard this, he looked at the naked Jiang Chun with a strange expression. "It's her bull that burned my clothes?" Jiangchen explained, also, this is my room. She's bathing in my room. How can you blame me? It's not your fault. The middle-aged man smiled and said, this is my daughter, Yihan. I've spoiled her since she was young. In this backyard, only I live with her. She can use these rooms whenever she wants. She doesn't know that I've arranged this room for you. When Jiangchen heard this, he was stunned and asked, then, you're the president of the Demon Hunters Union? That's right. The middle-aged man nodded. I'm Yi Mingyi. Oh! Jiangchen nodded and did not react to Yi Mingyi. He turned to look at Yi Han and frowned. Why aren't you leaving? How long are you going to look? Do you really think you've seen my body for nothing? When Yi Han heard this, her face turned red, but her heart was about to explode. Father, how did this kind of person enter the Demon Hunters Union? And you even arranged for him to stay with us in the backyard? Yi Han pouted her red lips and said with a look of grievance and dissatisfaction, Father, let him go. Don't mess around. From now on, you and Jiangchen will stay in the backyard together. Yi Mingyi comforted her. Besides, he only saw you naked. You didn't lose a piece of flesh. Let's just forget about this. Forget about it? Yi Han was stunned. She stared at Yi Mingyi and finally could not help but ask, Father, am I your biological child? Chapter 100. Yi Han's mind was in a mess as he looked at Yi Mingyi in disbelief. He couldn't believe that these words came from his father's mouth. From now on, get along well with Jiangchen. If there's anything you don't understand about cultivation, ask him for advice. Yi Mingyi turned and left after he finished speaking. He did not care about Yi Han's dark face at all. Why aren't you leaving? When are you going to stop? Jiangchen frowned. His clothes were burned by the fiery bull, and he was naked now. It was a little awkward. Yi Han's face turned red when she heard that. She turned and left. However, before she left, Yi Han said, just you wait. I'll chase you out sooner or later. She's not bad-looking and has a hot body, but her temper is a little explosive. Jiangchen touched his chin and pondered how much he should ask Yi Han to pay. After all, her clothes were quite expensive. At that moment, in the martial pavilion next to the Hunters Guild, Duga Luching and a group of elders sat together. Their faces were gloomy and ugly. They knew that Jiangchen had joined the Hunters Guild. If that was the case, it would be difficult to kill Jiangchen. If they attacked openly, the Hunters Guild would not let them off even if they killed Jiangchen. At that time, perhaps the headquarters wouldn't be alarmed, but the Demon Hunters Union and the Martial Pavilion in solitary North City would probably come to blows. Great Elder, what should we do? That kid has the Hunters Guild as his backer. We can't touch him. That's right. The Hunters Guild is unreasonable. They won't take any losses. I heard that Kid Jiangchen has become an elder of the Hunters Guild in solitary North City. I don't think we can touch him. The group of elders frowned. They had a headache too. Pass down my order. Ask him to come to the Martial Pavilion and ask for forgiveness. Duga Luching said in a low voice. Even if we don't kill him, what he did before was wrong. That's right. Even if we don't kill him, we can still punish and humiliate him. Humiliate him. If we don't kill him, we can destroy his cultivation. After some discussion, they decided to let Jiangchen come forward to accept his punishment. They would take the opportunity to cripple Jiangchen's cultivation. However, when Duga Luching sent people to the Monster Hunters Union, not only did they not see Jiangchen's people, but the people he sent were also blocked outside the Monster Hunters Union. Furthermore, because of a few words, this person was beaten half to death. When this matter reached Dugu Liuqing's ears, a flame of fury burned in his heart, and he was extremely resentful. Tell him, if he doesn't come, then don't blame my Martial Pavilion for dispatching troops to attack the entire revered sect. Duga Luching was enraged and sent people out again. This time, it was an elder of the Martial Arts Pavilion who had been sent there. The Monster Hunters Association showed them some respect. They passed Dugu Liuqing's message to Jiangchen. Jiangchen was cultivating, but when he heard this, a cold light flashed in his eyes. "Don't you understand that you shouldn't implicate someone's families?" Jiang Chen said coldly. However, he did not immediately stand up. This was because Jiang Chen had been cultivating for a long time, since he stepped into the original state. Now his martial arts realms were all practical. His foundation was as solid as a rock, and it was indestructible. At this moment, Jiang Chen was planning to break through. The most powerful cultivation technique in the Tao realm should be the Path Master's Xian Huang formula, Jiang Chen said softly. After the cultivation technique of the Xian Huang formula appeared in his mind, he began to cultivate it. After circulating the Xian Huang formula, Jiang Chen merged all the realms of martial arts together and successfully broke through to the Tao realm. Then, the Xian Huang formula continued to circulate, and the true qi in his body seemed to be burning, turning into a raging fire. Under the raging fire, the true qi became less and less. Then, a white light appeared in the sky. This was the process of transforming true qi into spiritual power. In the Tao realm, the strongest was the transformation of true qi into spiritual power. The difference between true qi and spiritual power was more than several times. Ordinary people would first step into the Tao realm and then slowly transform their spiritual power. However, the Xian Huang formula was different. Once one stepped into the Tao realm, they could transform their true qi into spiritual power. Moreover, after all true qi was transformed into spiritual power, it was just the beginning. The beauty of the Xian Huang formula was that after transforming true qi into spiritual power, it could also transform spiritual power into the power of Xian Huang. Yin and Yang were born from Xian Huang. In the world, only Xian Huang was the most powerful. Ordinary people had true qi, but it was inferior to spiritual power. And spiritual power was even more useless in front of the power of Xian Huang. Back then, the Path Master was so powerful that he was the previous divine king. If not for the end of his lifespan, Jiang Chen would not have been able to become the divine king. After all, the Path Master's cultivation was heaven-defying. Back then, when Jiang Chen opened the sky, it could be said to be difficult and tiring. After going through so much, he was still a little short. However, when the Path Master was still alive, he opened the sky 3 times in a row. It was as simple as eating a meal. And all of this was because of the power of Xian Huang that the Path Master possessed. At that moment, as time passed, the true qi in Jiang Chen's body gradually transformed. Half a day later, it was completely transformed into spiritual power. The spiritual power was pure white and shone with divine light. It spread out from the stars like galaxies and flowed in Jiang Chen's body. Jiang Chen comprehended for a while. After his true qi was transformed into spiritual power, his combat strength could be said to have skyrocketed. In fact, he did not even need to use forbidden skills if he met Tao realm cultivators now. Even if he met experts that surpassed the Tao realm, Jiang Chen could deal with them easily. That was the power of transforming true qi into spiritual power. Condense! In the next moment, Jiang Chen formed hand seals with both hands, and the Xian Huang formula circulated once more. This time round, as the Xian Huang formula circulated, streams of reddish-gold light surged from the world. Like thin threads that were invisible to the naked eye, they shone with reddish-gold light and slowly entered Jiang Chen's body. So heavy! Jiang Chen was shocked. After the reddish-gold light entered his body, it was as if there was an invisible pressure that almost suffocated him. Even the stars in his body were almost crushed. A wisp of Xian Huang is an entire world. It's not something that ordinary people can endure, Jiang Chen muttered. After cultivating for a while more, he stopped. The power of Xian Huang was heavy and its pressure was extraordinary. Given Jiang Chen's current state, he had already reached the limit of what he could endure. If he wanted to condense more power of Xian Huang, Jiang Chen had to increase the strength of his physical body. Otherwise, his physical body would be crushed by the power of Xian Huang. Sensing the faint wisp of power of Xian Huang on the stars, Jiang Chen smiled. With a flick of his finger, the wisp of power of Xian Huang burst forth. Swoosh! Like a golden stream of light, it flashed past, causing the air to distort. There was even a sonic boom. Boom! In the next second, the power of Xian Huang passed through the door and struck a gigantic rock in the backyard. The gigantic rock was made of 10,000-year-old cold steel. Even a Dao realm cultivator would find it difficult to shatter it. However, that wisp of power of Xian Huang crushed it into dust with ease. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.